Show with Joanna. Thank you so very much. I've been going through, how's everybody doing in this whole Lionsgate? Lionsgate energies are still with us, so just breathe in and take it in and just accept and allow. These big celestial galactic energies are all for us to accept and allow and bring into a new level of perfection. All about integration. Everything is integration. Everything is integration. So just keep loving and allowing these new levels of light and song and harmonies into your own divine perfection in every moment. I had a wonderful, this episode is dedicated, by the way, to a very special client of mine, and that person knows who they are. And so we're sending out so many lovely, heartfelt love and appreciation, heart pulsations of love to you. I'm having a huge heart activation, feeling closer and closer with all of my celestial families and teams working with me every day. So my inspiration is for you to also work with your celestial teams, galactic teams, angelic teams, the master teams, seeking the perfection within all that you are, seeing the perfection within all that you are in every moment, regardless of what the outer world is showing you or whatever the story is. If you begin with perfection, you're changing that vibration and pulsation that you're sending to creation. And then creation just reverberates back to you everything that's going on within you. So all change begins within all that you are in perfection, creating that new integration of a vibrational pulsation that you are as an omnipresent. Omnipresent means you're eternally open, alive, and awake, and present in who you are as source with source. The source as out, the holographic energy and the holographic reverberations and the holographic experiences are returning back to you everything that source is. Hello, gorgeous. Hello, darling. And so I was having this beautiful, some really incredible experiences with the Lionsgate and the preemptive contact that we're all being prepared for. And everybody is at a unique level of consciousness. So we're going to talk about that and how it's so very perfect in every stage. Wherever you're at, whatever you're going through, every stage is perfect. Consciousness is always a moving song. And so we want to get more and more into a beautiful unfolding of allowance. The more that you just allow Source to live through you, knowing that Source is the substrate, Source is within you, Source is the beautiful divine spark that never goes out, never goes away. You're the only one that chooses to reduce it, but it is always alive within you. Source, Mother, Father, and the embodiment of Source, Mother, Father is called the omnipresent. And then pulsating it back out to the all is that holographic return. So we want to begin in training ourselves, as all of our episodes do, into higher understandings and to higher entrainments. Because as we've talked about many videos before, is that we discussed the importance of the embodiment of the lower mind with the higher mind. Because if there is if there is no embodiment of that harmonization between the lower mind and the higher mind, then you end up just repeating the lower mind ego mental patterns and mental viruses. We have the multidimensional Christic toolkit, which we talk about on all of our episodes. The Christed toolkit is the understanding who you are as a multidimensional being, what's going on within you, and what do you exist within as a multidimensional being, and how to use the gifts and tools that every single human has. And it's just a matter of whatever level of consciousness you're at will allow you to reverberate back the gifts and skills and tools that you've allowed yourself to accumulate. As we talked about in our last video, there is the lower, middle, and upper, and every stage of your ascension, every stage of your evolution back to source, back to the remembrance of your perfection, back to the remembrance of who you are as pure love and light, as a multi-dimensional, infinite, eternal being. All that you are is releasing all of the lower vibrational, dogmatic, systems of beliefs and the lower vibrational lineage beliefs and familial beliefs that put you in boxes that are not who you truly, really are. They're just things you wanted to try on for a little bit so that you can know that you are a master in transmuting and navigating yourself into the infinite allness, which is source. And so on all of our videos, we offer you those higher level of entrainments to remind you that you are a multi-vibrational being, and that alignment and that harmonization with your higher self, surrendering to the higher mind, surrendering to the higher self, is that participation, that relationship, and that connection of all that is God. That higher self is your direct connection with God as God. And so In that higher self and lower mind, we call it the lower mind, which is just your brain, your ego mind brain, and how the brain functions, the patterns that you've entrained it. You have patterns of social, you have patterns of lineage, you have patterns of dogmatic, you have patterns of anything that you were bought and born within as an environment. If the environment was not nurturing and natural, it wasn't allowing you to flow in a nurturing and natural way, which is how we as parents should be providing our children as natural and nurturing environments to allow their spirits the full capacity of play, the full capacity of who they're meant to be, the diversity of perfection, then it offers a great stagnation and a great malignancy, which then causes depression, suppression, disease, all of those things that create the energies of disease or self-harm or addictions, because the spirit is requiring that easy flow of it being its own diverse perfection. And everybody has within themselves the unique blueprint and the unique template, which is the original blueprint, if you will, of every lifetime that you're born within is a new level of template perfection. So we're entering into, because the substrates are different, your DNA has just gone through a lot of changes. We've just come through the Lionsgate experience. And it's still, Lionsgate energies are still with us. So work with those energies in a benevolent and loving way. Honoring that every time you're going through a new cycle of ascension, which we are now, and I offer you in all of my videos, is the new templates that are being offered to you as light, their harmonic song. When we say light, we also mean equaling to the harmonic song of Source Creator. Every level of dimension and every thread that you have a new succession in, that thread is beaming back to you the highest potential of protection of, well, I guess if you're choosing to have protection, if you're going through a lot of spiritual warfare, the potential that Source offers you in every bandwidth of life. And so what we're going to talk about today is how to simplify, surrender, enjoy, relax, get really vibrant in your knowing. We want you to get to a knowing state that you're harmonizing more and more as the higher self with your intentions, your focus, and your direction of your energy, living as this multi-vibrational divine being of holy light that you've always been, that you always will be. You will always be eternal. You will always be light. You will always be love. How you create the minutia of your divine relationship with all creation. Creation is a divine relationship. You are a divine relationship. So you're the one that is potentiating. It's always you. God will meet you. Source Spirit, Source Creator will meet you every measure. But know that within every bandwidth of experience and potential experience, there is infinite growth within every level of bandwidth that we experience, because there's infinite notes it's just like a web, a spider's web. That's why this is always so helpful to me, because if we put it on a value like this, you're in the very center and all of the aspects of you are spiraling around. And in the spiral of now, in the beehive of you, your soul's integration is calling in those soul aspects that were forgotten, left out. Maybe they died a tragic death because they were in the wounding. They were in those 7 sins, if you will, of what you chose as a higher soul contract to take on. It could be taking on clearing victimization for your lineage, clearing social victimization, dogmatic victimization, whatever it might be that you're signed on as a soul contract for. And when you have an ascension session with me, I usually pick up those energies of what blocks you're working on so that you can pick up that soul integration and start harmonizing it and start calling it as oneness, so that you and Source are becoming as equal partners into the reharmonization of all that is Source. Source calling itself back to Source, you calling your soul fragments back to you. When you get stuck on the repetitions of constantly doing and staying in the entrainment of the lower virus mental brain, that means you're continually manifesting the same patterns, you're manifesting the same people, because your vibration is still the same. You're sitting in a victimization experience, you're sitting in a conformed experience, you're sitting in a whatever that wounding is, self-rejection, no sense of self. No sense of self really spans the whole gamut of everything. And that is always fear of who you are as originality, fear of your perfection. And that is the integration of who we are becoming as Source, is we are just accepting our perfection. And it has nothing to do with ego when we say that. As no, I'm absolutely perfect as I've always been. We're preparing ourselves to meet beings that always know and live within their perfection. The Pleiadians know their perfection. It's a very high state of self-love. It's a very high state of self-knowing. They're very pure in the center of who they are because they work with their light. They work with their perfection in every moment. They work with the understanding that everything is that reciprocation of their perfection. They've gone through the minutia of all their 3D to 5D lifetimes. They live in a constant state of harmonizing their perfection. And so we're preparing ourselves to meet and preemptive, if you will, those beings that live in a higher state of consciousness as perfection. And so every level of threading of bandwidth in the dimension, it is a song. There are like a guitar, if you will. And it's up to us when we're playing the instrument, if you will, of who we are, and the instrument of the omnipresence, we have access to all things because we are source, and as source, we are source. As we perceive it, so too it is. So if you're accepting yourself as a perfection of source, you're also that omnipresent. So when you start working within the perfection of your being all things as all things, you get to have that minutia of being all that is God. That was the original acceptance that Jesus and many of the masters came to teach, that there is no separation or discrimination ever needed. Of course, it is part of our learning because to know your level of oneness and unity, sometimes we do behave from those shadow experiences which allow us to separate ourselves from all that we are one with because we don't want to, sometimes we see ourselves as what is before us because then it's earth-shattering, if you will. Sometimes it might be, no, that's not in my perspective, but perhaps there's something within it that is still a part of you. It's still all aspects of you because the hologram is very real. That is Source Creator showing you Source Creator. Your soul's blueprint is a hologram. All aspects of you are holograms of perfection. Depending on where you're at in your consciousness, consciousness is everything. And your consciousness has everything to do with your perspective. So the higher you raise your perspective of all things, and that perspective can only be raised when you're harmonizing with the higher self, because the higher self sees all things as perfect, all things as source. The higher self understands that if you're going through a minutia of your ascension release, if you will, and you're releasing a very dark timeline where you were enslaved or you were entrapped, and you have those fears of being enslaved and entrapped, then you manifest those experiences where those want to play out those stories. They want to entrap you and they want to enslave you. And then you're releasing that fear of being entrapped and enslaved by reclaiming your power and reclaiming who you are as light, and then moving forward in a higher minutia of your co-creative experience, your co-creative light that will then bounce back to you. Well, I'm in a higher state of self-knowing. I'm in a higher state of reclaiming my power. I can now behave in this way. I'm now attracting these people in this way. It's always the equal vibration of who you are in the hologram and what the hologram is offering to you as its equal partnership. Because remember, regardless of where you're at, Source Creator, the universe, that's why there are universal laws. Source Creator, the universe will bounce back to you whatever it is you're vibrating. That's how much Source loves you. There's perfection in that. But there are those that continually sit in the ego state of that low vibrational experience of not choosing to see that they're being non-accountable, and they're in denial of what they've manifested for themselves. They're in denial of what's being shown back to them. And so why we say that the 3 A's and the 3 E's are so pivotal in your ascension and growing of your consciousness. So what we want to soften in today is talk about the ideas of from the Crystalline Board of Angelics. We have a new light liturgies today. I was sitting with Jesus the other day, and we were talking about perfection and what it really is perfection, and how can we soften and see and surrender ourselves into a natural state of knowing. The higher mind is that knowing. The higher mind is the God knowing. So that's what we want to allow you, those higher entrainments of shifting, not as to take on everybody else's perspective or your social beliefs or your dogmatic beliefs or your whatever it might be that is the outer. That is shifting and being wishy-washy and floating back and forth to everybody else's perspectives and being in the conformed experience, which we don't. We want to shake that off. We don't want to walk around being conformed versions of anybody else's ideals. We want to rise to the higher self's aspects of perspective of perfection. Regardless of where you're at in your journey, is, as we said earlier, as that example, if you're releasing a victimization exploration and you had your 3 E's and your 3 A's of victimization, and for many of us, because we're clearing on behalf of the collective and we're clearing all of our lineages experiences, that sometimes we choose from the higher self perspective with our teams and with the support teams that we have, like I did, because I do want to mention that when my higher self chooses, sometimes with great debate from the physical part of me, there is that great debate to go back to a lower frequency so I can learn and teach and offer different things and offer the new Christed code, because every day I'm waking into a new level of perfection. I'm waking into a new level of my Christedness. I'm waking into a new level of my embodiment of the Christ, of God, of the hologram. And in that, every time I'll go back to a lower vibration, I'm offering greater Christed light, and it changes the all, because as I change one thing, the all changes. And so in these experiences where I'm offered back to a lower vibration, I have a lot of extra support and teams that are with me to support whatever it is that this molecule, if you will, this molecule of light that I need to sustain a certain level of healthy nurture and natural flow of who I am with Source, because I don't want to devalue and degrade myself and reduce myself so much so that I have to take 10 times the work to work into a new natural state of me. So evolution is like that. We do take ourselves back sometimes. But in the minutia of going back, if you will, there is always perfection on every level. And why we've always given you analogies like the sandwich and the soup, and understanding that taking your time in that dodecahedron of every little facet of that crystal you are. And when you do go back to other frequencies, or they call it going back home is an analogy that's often used in self-actualization. When you go back home to where the wounds and the traumas occurred, you then get to show yourself that all of the fears and all of the abuses were really all within your control, that you chose as a higher self soul contract with those beings to play out certain roles and certain themes that each of you chose to take, and why you do have them in your soul family. Because at the very highest level of consciousness, you chose to play those antagonizing experiences with each other so that you can allow each other that growth, because everything in and of creation is the infinity, and that's how you grow within that bandwidth, that string, that chord, if you will. Just as a guitar plays many chords, and the guitar plays with the strings and the harmonies that a guitar can play, every time that note changes, that chord changes, and that bandwidth changes, it expands and contracts. That is too, as you as the song of God in the omnipresent is. It's just mind-boggling. The song of Source Creator, just in your soul blueprint, every time one of these tiny little dots makes a change to include itself, to integrate itself, to be okay with the perspective of perfection, whatever it is you might be going through. So if that level of perfection right now is to allow yourself to face a deed where you hurt somebody or you harm somebody or you were victimized, that is still in and of itself, because it's all Source Creator moving in the harmony of song of God. It is still perfection. How anybody perceives any level of what might be a judgment is only at the level of consciousness that being holds. And why there are those, as we said, the lower, middle, and upper of humanity that is now being shifted in its array of consciousness center point. The center point of my consciousness is a high mastery center point. I can go between any dimensions and I can teach it from many fractals of that dodecahedron. That's why I did choose to go back, and I chose to take my time in certain energies or certain themes or certain lessons, because it's very profound for the collective to get these energies or to get these stories of teachings from a higher vibrational vantage point, so that it can break beyond the lower vibrational mind, the ego mind's mind viruses. For instance, How to Train Your Dragon. Those are all about the divine masculine's energies that were allowing themselves to stay stuck in very low mental viruses, because they never allowed themselves to be entrained as the multi-vibrational being that they are, and training themselves in an emotional, mental, multiverse way of being expansive. Because they were entrained in social lineage, dogma, and all of those experiences that in the environment that keep you suppressed and depressed into behaving and defining yourself in certain ways. However, that's a very low vibrational consciousness. If you define yourself and if you play follower and people pleaser to everything and everyone, then you will live a very small vibrational life, because your perfection is the all of God that is expansive within the song of God. It's a minutia of breath work, of back and forth, of being all things in perfection, because it's all source. How can it not be? But we've been so entrained in dogma. We've been so entrained that we must follow certain ideologies. We must follow certain doctrine. We must follow certain outlines. We must follow certain subscriptions, if you will, of other people's versions, which were only, again, if we look back on everything from our past, they were only very low vibrational 3D perspectives. So why would we ever want to even begin there? What we're doing right now is every moment we are in the very center point and saying, okay, well, if that was the perspective from 3D, I'm going to start with a new level of perspective that is perfection, because every moment is perfection. But we've never been taught, told, or shown that everything within creation is light. Everything within creation has eternal infinite potentiality, because anything that even drops off as a so-called death, if you will, or a lower vibrating timeline within the galaxy itself or within the universe itself, it does get pulled out and then it gets brought back down into the beehive that is all source. So in all ways, it still goes back into the diversity of the perfection of source. So it doesn't matter how we look at that dodecahedron, whatever's occurring in any one person, low, middle, or high, it doesn't matter what is occurring because it is all one. Whatever that person and that being is going through, it could be a very dark tower moment that person is going through. That person in that tower moment can take that center point advantage and say, in this very dark tower moment, everything's falling around me. There's this, and this happening. In the center point, I can see there's perfection, because in that moment of divine relationship, you've realized and you have just faced 18 aspects of you where you gave yourself and you gave power away to other deities, where they were taking your power, they were taking your energy, and you were following and you were giving your power into these lower energy vibrational timelines. So it's a very powerful experience of perfection. That perfection in that moment can be, wow, I can reclaim that power now. And even though there's a tower surrounding me and there's rubble everywhere, at least I'm seeing that I've just cleared 8 timelines because I'm refusing to buy into that lower entrainment. I'm not going to be conformed. I'm not going to give in to lower suppressions. I'm not going to give in to what other people think I should be or can be or package me to be. No, I'm going to return to a higher state of my higher self-perfection. And that is, in all moments, God is always perfect. We are godly, the mother and the father. We are images of the mother and the father in all moments. So they were showing me this, this image. I'll show you. This image right here. See, there's various little infinities, and this can be just one movement of one cycle where somebody is going through a cycle of victimization. In every level of the victimization, whether they're just acknowledging it, whether they're accepting it, remember the 3 A's and the 3 E's, they're accepting it and acknowledging it, and then they're going to allow something new. They're going to allow that integration of Mother, Father, God, because everything is a quantum equation. Everything needs that quantum participation. You are perfection. The omnipresent is perfection. That is a powerful affirmation every day to work with. As much as you can say it and believe it and think it and feel it within your breath and bones. Everything in creation is perfection. It is God. Now remember, in those 3 substrates, lower, middle, and higher, based on where your consciousness is at, that's what I say, lower, middle, and higher. When I say lower, middle, and higher, it's all consciousness. It's a lower consciousness, it's a middle consciousness, it's a higher consciousness, because you've worked your way through it all things. The higher in consciousness you are, all things are perfect. The consciousness perspectives is that, well, this can't be because I'm judging this, and this. This can't be because I just lost my house. This can't be because I just lost my friend. This can't be because I just had a sore toe. All of those things are judgments of perspective. But if you sit back in the center point and say, okay, well, let's perceive this from another perspective or another neutral potentiation. Well, that had to happen because I've been running myself ragged. I had to sit down and let's see what occurs when I do connect with my higher self. When you connect with that higher self, your higher self will you in infinite ways that moment, that tower, that breaking, that corruption had to occur. Why? Because if we didn't see the corruption, if we didn't see the trafficking, if we didn't see the raping, if we didn't accept ourselves within it all, we could not see the highest vantage point of the higher self saying, wow, look what we can do now. There's always that divine spark of perfection, and that was what I was taught many, many years ago that I was given by Mother Mary. The divine relationship is within every single moment, so how can it not be perfection? It is there. That is the alchemy that creates life. That's the alchemy that creates new galaxies. But it is from the lower, middle, or high consciousness level where you're either judging it because of your environmental constructs. What were you brought up within? What were you told? What were you shown? What was mirrored back to you in your environment to show you it wasn't nurturing or natural? No, it's always natural. It's always perfect. So how can you see the perfection in everything that's unfolding? And that is what the message that I got from Jesus the other day, because I'm entering into this new experience. And they had kept trying to show me, and I know that this is one of my points that I am coded with. We had a discussion, me and my teams, and Jesus and Mother, Father, God. When I play basketball and I'm doing my morning workouts, I always get these epiphanies, and I take my I take my books and I go out to the basketball court, and this is where I have, you know, the epiphanies. That's where I talk with God and spirit. I just allow the energy to flow, and I just allow whatever comes in to be perfect in that moment. And then all I'm doing is just focusing on the shot. And so in my discussion, they were saying, well, Joanna, we want you to get to that point where in every moment, without us reminding you that you are perfect, you are God's perfection. So how can you get there on your own? And I said, well, you know, to be fair, you know, absolutely understanding as a hybrid, as somebody that was kind of dropped here and left within a whole bunch of dysfunction, the perspectives that I held were of the heavens. I was a very heavenly, perfect perspective. I always had a creative intuition to dream and to see the magical in everything. Even through my hardest times, the reason why I got through such horrible, horrible abuse was to absolutely remember what I call the unicorn. And the unicorn is God's perfection. It is the diversity of all that is. Whatever's happening, there is a diversity, perfection within it. The diversity of perfection is the divine allowance. It is the divine relationship. Everything within alignment is what? Relationship and connection. So if you have those things, connection and relationship is everything that you are as source. I'm giving you the seeds of what Christ consciousness is. I'm giving you the seeds. I'm giving you the manna. The manna is the connection of all that is the essence of God, that is the perfection of God, the miracles of God, the magic of God, and it is always perfect. And for some reason, I was always just threaded with it. I always had it innately within me. Those around me had other lower vibrational consciousness. They couldn't see and understand why I was in the garden talking with spirits, talking with celestials. In my version of consciousness, the bubble that I was in, my Merkaba, my fields, how I was already connected with my higher self, what I saw within reality, what I perceived in my reality was always that magical connection with Source. It wasn't any fault of anybody around me. They didn't understand anything to do about consciousness. They didn't understand anything about multidimensionality. They didn't understand anything about the fields, the multi-vibrational connection that we have with Source, the relationship we have with Source, the relationship we have with Gaia, the relationship we have with fairies. I mean, it goes on and on. It's infinite as God, infinite and eternal. I just knew that as an innate experience. I didn't know it for the words because I was just a little child, but I experienced the magic of God in all that I was. And how I expressed it, my 3 E's, is what then in the environment reflected back to me that it was different and was not okay. Because where they sat in their perspective, where they sat in their consciousness was very low. They were on a lower, middle, and higher. And this little crystalline child, this hybrid child that was just dropped in a dysfunctional, low vibrating experience, of course, this unique being of crystalline light that was just seeing everything as magical in a storybook, it was obviously quite indifferent, and it was quite... it was ostracized, you know, how I would connect with nature, how I would connect with spirits. And they always would say, you know, are those imaginary friends, or who you talking to? And, you know, of course, the furrowed brow and all of those things, because it was from their consciousness not acceptable. They didn't see what I saw. They didn't understand what I understood. They couldn't hear what I heard. They could not see what I see. My third eye was opened even being born here. All of my chakras had to be adjusted day by day by day by day, simply because of how I was interacting in an environment when nobody was teaching me how to work with my fields, my bodies, and my light. Therefore, my bodies were getting very harmed, if you will, my multidimensional bodies and my fields, because I was just an open ball of crystalline light. I was a hybrid. So those levels of consciousness allow you to understand and allow you to give that, remember that infinity that's always talking back to you, that holograph that's always talking back to you, and where you sit and stand. And the understandings that were given to me at that time was only that, well, I'm only interacting and I'm only behaving in what I am and what I know. So how come that is not okay? There was immediate discrimination, and that's what Jesus was experienced in his timelines. And also many of the hybrid children and the crystalline children, high-functioning children, empath children, rainbow children, crystalline children, how they operate in their sense and state of knowing as being the template that they are as higher vibrational beings. They have a higher vibrational template that does not fit within the lower, middle, and sometimes even higher, because certain aspects of their DNA, some aspects of how they're connected with their higher self is far beyond even with the highest consciousness on our planet sometimes. Now, and again, because it depends on what we're talking about, because I just threw a whole bunch of experiences that every child can be and is, I'm giving you to the complexity of how we are being diverse, the complexity and the beauty and the perfection of our diversity, and how it means everything. It means everything to letting go of everything that is discriminatory, everything that is conformity, everything that is trying to stuff us and fit us into these low vibrational definitions and ridicules that we were never ever meant to be within. The ridicules is of those in the environment, of those in the dogmatic systems, of education systems, political systems. It doesn't matter what you call it, because they're all closed, they're all stores you go into, like the big department mall. Whatever you go into, they're set with their conformed, reformed agendas and their definitions and their motives and their intentions. And along with that comes in the perspective of how they see you as being defined as normal or not normal. And of course, it's much more acceptable now, but we're still just entering into the doorway of this whole new hybridization experience of everything is becoming so diverse in its beauty and the fractal it takes on the dodecahedron that we want to see every aspect of the lower, middle, upper as a dodecahedron of itself, because the God harmonizing within the God. That way, every version of consciousness level, whether it's a just awakening level, but they're very low vibrational because they're only really new to Christ consciousness, as we talked about last time. How certain people and certain beings behave has a lot to do with, and I'm the only one that talks about it, this is copyright by me and me only. Their DNA allocation may not have had very many, if any, cycles of ascension in a humanoid body or in a matter body of being Christed. The highest versions of them in the 13th dimension, where it's all flowing music with God, of course they're Christ consciousness. Of course they have infinite aspects of oneness with God. But as they move down into physical bodies, because God offers infinite diverse perfection, so they can take a body whatever time they want, because they want to be a part of a really important project of hybridized reptilians going into a humanoid body, just being birthed onto Earth. Back in the 1970s, let's say. Those are some of the very early reptilian Christ consciousness. So they're just being introduced, and their DNA allocation as it spins around in its cycle of ascension and evolution, all of the systems are still very reptilian. It's very, let's fit in our box. You're going to belong to our box. You can't go outside of our box. You must belong. You must do this. You must do that. But that spirit is saying, but I have a Christ consciousness thread within me. Christ consciousness means that I am a sparkling dodecahedron. I can express myself, explore, and experience myself in many different ways. I have the 3 A's, I have the 3 E's, I'm Christ consciousness. But you're told and you're entrained from the very lower mind. Remember, it's not connected with the higher mind, because we're just breaking these boxes of conformity. We're breaking the boxes of all things that were 3D. We're breaking the boxes of all things that were the pillars of 3D. And it was very low vibrational. And again, we have to understand that every single person, every single human being on this planet has a different DNA allocation. If they're very new at having a body or a humanoid experience in Christ consciousness, which is what the light we're in right now, and every day we move about our planet, it's new Christ consciousness light. That Christ consciousness light is the substrates, is the omnipresence, is Mother, Father, God, breathing that light back to us, and we can use it however we wish. If we're in the lower vibrational substrates, our perspectives and our consciousness and our judgments and our perspectives, and there's no self-love, there's no self-care, and there is no nurturing or balance within who we are as ourselves, then the outer omnipresence, which is very high, is going to bounce back really quickly to that lower vibrational experience. And it's got a chance really quickly to see, okay, what am I creating? What are my beliefs? What are my patterns here? The only way to break out of those patterns of those lower vibrational consciousness is through the alignment with Mother, Father, God within and their love. The perfection of your love is everything. The perfection of your harmonization with that higher self to bring you up those embeddings of those higher vibrational constructs, which is nothing to do with the environments of the below. So we have to understand how we're seeing things in our reality unfold. We're going to absolutely see, as we talked about in many of our videos a long time ago, is the correlation. There's going to be a lot that I'm going to be doing some research on in the correlation of the DNA allocation to how people psychologically, philosophically behave. When their psyche and their psyche integration, the soul fragments are not being integrated, they're going to behave, and they're going to that, give and take. They're going to be putting out different energy because their Christ consciousness has not been activated. They have not nurtured it. They have not brought it into any level of connection and alignment. Therefore, they're not practiced at being Christ consciousness. How could you expect them to behave any differently? But on our planet, we just see as, okay, we're all human, so we all must have the same level of consciousness. Absolutely not. We don't. We see this every day. Our leaders don't even have a level of consciousness we can say is even a middle ground. The leaders on our planet are a very low vibrational leadership. They have zero consciousness based on their behaviors and what they output. They're still operating in everything being segmented and differentiated and defined in very low vibrational boxes. There is no higher self connection. The higher self connection allows you to move in whatever level that you are as a master. As I said earlier, I can move to lower vibrational experiences because I've learned something really high up here and I want to deposit it into the lower vibrational constructs here. Because every time that I focus my light into whatever is dark and dense, that breaks up within a matter of days. That's how powerful light is. That's how powerful that a being of light, as your perfection of who you are, working with your Christ consciousness tools, working with who you are as the Christ, understanding that every moment is perfect no matter where you're sitting on that bubble of ascension cycle. You have to want to go through the minutia and put yourself back, if you will, into very dark experiences and say, yeah, I can master this. The devil that you face or the home you're going back to where the trauma began, where the abuses began, you're now transcending it. And why God will always, your teams and your spirit guides will always take you back, because that is your initiation. Because nothing has power over you. Some people, when they've gone through, even in trauma healing, if you've had a really bad accident and people passed away or things died and it was an anxiety or a phobia, sometimes in your healing, when you have come far enough, you can go back to those devastation sites, if you will, and then you reintegrate those soul fragments and show yourself that, yes, it wasn't beyond me, it wasn't bigger than me. I am asking for the perfection of it to come forward and integrate it into something new and whole. Because again, even in what perceives, because remember, anything that you perceive is your level of consciousness. So if you perceive that accident as the worst thing that ever happened, there is perfection within it. And it might be hard for wherever you are in your consciousness structure. If you're very low, it'll say, I will never get over that. There's just no way. I will always see that as devastation, as negative, and that's where you go up back into spirit, and you'll carry those densities. Why we have to, in this lifetime, clear 51% of our karma. Because when you're carrying that back into spirit with you, you refuse to let go of that accident to see somehow has it served you in perfection. It occurred. It had to serve you. Sometimes, as I said earlier, we manifest, this is how powerful we are as manifestors, we manifest accidents to sit ourselves down and reconnect back with source, or to reconnect with what is truly important with us, or a higher code of ethics and morals. Why did we choose what we chose? Why did we believe what we believed? Why did we perceive what we perceived? Can there be a higher level of consciousness here? Can there be a higher level of embodiment with my higher self? Can there be a higher level of embodiment with my perfection? But you don't know that unless you're sitting yourself down, and sometimes you have to manifest sitting yourself down. Whether it's an accident, a devastation, a death, a tower, it doesn't matter what it is you're manifesting. You manifested it. There's perfection in it. And then some will say at that lower vibrational, I didn't manifest this. How the hell did I manifest this? Well, because there's vibrational stories in your field that you have not integrated those soul stories. You haven't integrated the soul stories of a devastation, not seemingly to be perfect in its experience. We can go back to the reintegration of Lemuria and the devastations. They call it devastations, they're just words, right? It can mean nothing if you choose. We're going into higher vibrational categories of our understandings of higher vibrational words and liturgies. Anything that we see like through Atlantis or Lemuria, we can see something as called a devastation in our older consciousness, but in our higher consciousness, wow, if we didn't go through that, we would not be at the awakening state we are right now, where we absolutely understand where and when and how, and discerning abuse of energy, abuse of black magic, abuse of the occult. The experiences that occurred in Atlantis were allowing us right now to say, well, no, I have a higher level of discernment. I've integrated that soul timeline. So there absolutely is, and why God has always said there's perfection in it. If you have any discussions with the highest of the realms in the 9th and the 10th dimension, they say if it's there, there's a purpose for it. So who are we to judge at any level, especially lower vibrational consciousness? Say, no, that's not meant to be. There is a purpose for it. As we're pulling out the underground and the black web, it's very hard for an empath and a high functioning person to feel everything that's in those threads. As an empath and as a healer, I feel all of those threads. All of those children that were abused, and myself that was abused. I have to feel that and say, okay, there is perfection here. How can that perfection is, I know if it's returning back to me, I'm doing a lot of transmuting for the collective. I'm doing a lot of transmuting for my lineage on all those timelines where we were enslaved, all those timelines where we were held back, all those timelines where our bodies and our energies were being abused and used and harvested. So what is my perfection in this now moment? And then again, you return to the higher self and you'll be shown an infinite level of things you can teach on. As again, I'm a conduit because I see that interfacing and I can teach it forward to all of humanity to say, well, no matter where your conscious level is at, you can perceive the divine relationship in all things. The higher in alignment that you are as a conduit, as an empath, as a seer, as a psychically aligned being of embodiment with God, the more embodiment of connection, relationship I have with God, the more interactions I can see the perfection within. I can name off 100 things that have served you in that one experience. And that's where we serve as being higher teachers and leaders and healers, because we give people hope and promise. And no matter what you're going through, there's perfection in it. Can you seek the perfection? Can you seek your perfection? And this will bring up, if you wanted to put out a piece of paper and for the next week, see yourself and feel yourself and give yourself intentions and give yourself embodiment to see the perfection in all things. Regardless of what is before you, see the perfection in whoever stands before you. See the perfection in the trees. See the perfection in the bees and the birds moving about in their song. And how does that add to the perfection of the omnipresent? Begin seeking the perfection as God is. You are, because you are the embodiment of God, the mother and the father. The mother and the father, birth and breath, all life. And in between all life, there is life. It is always a harmonic becoming, and it's always a new initiation of becoming. So the higher in initiations you are, you will want to go back and touch all the Christ consciousness on all levels of the co-creation because you chose to. He said, I can do that. I can go down to that lower level again. I'm not going to enjoy it, but at least I know the ropes now. I can play the game better. I am not going to get caught up in the minutia of the narcissistic play where there's no accountability and they try and keep drawing you back in, because there will have to be light workers that are, as I told my teams in my discussion with them, I said, there's going to have to be light workers that you're going to have to train. So it's not just me, this one person that's going back to heal the lowest vibrational timelines, when there's no other light workers that are going back to do the Christ consciousness work that I do and doing the transmuting that I do and doing the offering that I do. I'm not here to heal the whole entire world's narcissism or sociopathy, but I'm here to ignite that energy when and how I can. Even if it's just for a day, I can go back to those lower vibrational timelines and I can do a class and I can infuse Christ consciousness in a way that was never done before, therefore breaking 400 years of dogmatic trauma and entrainment. That was very low vibrational and traumatic for any being that sits within it, because they can't see their way out of the box. They can't see their way out of the lineage and dogmatic and doctrine definitions of themselves. No, everything is perfect. View yourself from the higher self perspective, which takes practice and entrainment. You're the one entraining you in that infinity. I am seeing myself as the perfection of God in all moments. I can see it. I can feel it. I can infuse it. And that is why I offer the classes that I do, because I teach you how to keep infusing that divine relationship in all that is. That's how you change your reality. That's how you change your body, as within, so without. You are the perspective of God. You're becoming more godly in every moment and every day if you so wish. And again, it has nothing to do with religion. There is perfection in all things. Now, again, as you have teachers and healers and leaders, there will be those shifting outs of the various aspects of consciousness, pockets of consciousness. There is perfection in all of those pockets of consciousness. And as I was saying to the teams, I was saying, okay, well, let's get, because I am now a guide and I'm now directing energy, if you will, on a planetary basis, on a planetary scale. And I can say, we need more energy healers, teachers, and leaders here. I can teach those leaders and teachers. And because I've been through so much, I'm now teaching those teachers, healers, and leaders at these various levels. That is becoming what they've given me as getting my wings, if you will, because I'm now becoming a spirit guide. I'm now becoming an angel. I've been an earth angel, but now I'm becoming it in my own speech because I'm accepting myself as perfect. So that's another part of the conversation. And so in that infusion, and why my path was like that dodecahedron, and I wanted to see the many facets that I could go back in and thread myself on, no matter what I perceived at the time, because of how challenging and how abusive it was, there was great light that I deposited for those beings of the hybridized programs that had very little Christ consciousness experiences in a body of cycling through an ascension evolution period. We have to think of how profound this ascension is and how truly profoundly honored we are to be in a body at this time. And as God said, if you're not respecting and honoring sacred life, and if you get and think and often and soften and offer yourself the profundity of how profound it is to be here in a body. You take greater care and self-love of yourself, and you see that anyone that's going through something right now, especially those that operate in very low, dark, dogmatic, secret society abuse experiences, a lot of those come from very heavy, deep reptilian control, draconian experiences of their DNA. So for them to wake up in this lifetime is monumental to begin with. And some of them are not all of them, but I'm saying some of them. We just have to look at it at a grander scale of how diverse and perfect we all are. So you just accepting and acknowledging that the 3 A's and the 3 E's, wow, those beings, as much tower moments, as much destruction as they caused, it was also a reverberation and a mirror of that divine relationship of Mother Father showing us in the infinity of the hologram. Wow, that tower was pretty shitty, but wow, look at this. They had the spark of their awakening, and even if some of them pass over, they awoken just enough to come back into another physical body. They learned enough. That's not guaranteed to everybody, by the way, because I said in my other video, you're not always guaranteed a body. You're not always guaranteed another evolution in a body. And it depends on how many cycles have you gone around creating the same errors of disrespect to sacred life. How many cycles were you taught and told and shown, and how many times did you absolutely want yourself to sit there? Because again, you're not going to be given a sacred life body if you're not doing the work to wake yourself up out of the destruction of life. Because you're not going to be given another body. There's like infinite beings that are waiting to come into body to be here at this time. That's how profound it is on this planet. To go through the understanding that anybody that you see is at their own unique pacing percentage of their own consciousness awakening, their remembrance, their reintegration with Source. The more they work with light and the harmonization with their higher self, they could harmonize into higher DNA allocation. That means they're offering their intention and their focus and their direction to be of higher Christ consciousness, working with the Christed toolkit, having themselves work with their honoring of light and the respecting of all that is sacred life, that everything is perfect. All of that is opening themselves up to access the DNA that allows them that higher consciousness. If your DNA is not being activated, you're not going to awaken into higher consciousness, and vice versa. It is one and the same. Same with your Kundalini. That's how profound the multidimensional self-actualization process is, and why, again, be discerning. Those that know their stuff can speak in an infinite number of ways about what I'm talking about and go off in an infinite number of tangents. Because we know what we're doing, we know who we are. We understand the process of God's creational reality. And it's always changing, it's always perfect, and it's always changing. We're seeing ourselves and training through these new perspectives of the holographic experience becoming so profound, becoming so enmeshed with light, because remember, the substrates are bouncing back to us really profound knowing. That profound knowing is becoming more pure. The substrates are more pure. And what do we mean by pure? Knowingness. Alignment is your now knowingness of your connection and your relationship with Source. Wow, boy, did I manifest that? Well, let's see. Maybe I can change my beliefs. Maybe I can do some healing here. In that moment of awakening, that is perfection. Those tower moments help you see, okay, wow, okay, let me change my beliefs. Maybe it's me. Maybe I can do something about this, because your reality, nobody else is creating it for you. There are those that want to interfere and to push on you and to suppress on you. That's making you stronger to break free from the conformity once again, because you don't have to play their story. It's just a story. They're playing out their story, but that you don't have to be engaged in it. You're not competing. You're not engaged in it. So that's when you close the door and you understand how to work in the game. Everybody is allowed in their own perfection to be who they are and let God work on the whole karma issue. Because again, their DNA allocation might not know anything else but to attack and live in survival mode, because they are so abused. They don't have any lifetimes working as Christ consciousness, which is the infinite unconditional love of Source. The Christ consciousness is your eternal light of unconditionality. So if you haven't had very many lifetimes working in that, it's all fight for survival, then you're not going to have the reverberation bounce back. Well, I can make something new of this, as I told you earlier about that story about me in the garden. It's just my natural bounce back to see the majesty and the miracles that is all things that I can see and hear and know. I just have that innate knowing. You can't take it out of me. You can't train it out of me. You know, the abuse was hard, and I have to heal myself every day, but it is still a thread within me. It's like that chord. It is a song that is never taken out of me. That's what God gave me as my gift. That is why every single human on the planet, and why I can teach what I teach, and why I know what I know, just as Jesus did. You are the embodiment of God's perfection. And your unique ascension cycle, however it's referring back to you, however it's showing back to you in the hologram, it's perfect in that moment. So reflect upon that perfection. See the perfection as perfection. And so as I was playing basketball, and I had all of my teams, with me, and I said, to be honest with you, Spirit, it's part of my coding that I don't, because it would be highly ineffective for me to be the teacher and the healer and the leader that I am if I allowed myself to be all in my ego about who I am and what I carry and my gifts and my skills and my talents. So I'm coded very purposefully to always have a surrendering energy to just continue working in the energy and continue moving forward. I don't spend a lot of time in that reflection of, wow, I really did that great. I don't have a lot of self-gratifying reflection time. And they're wanting me to have more and more of it, because that is the perfection, that is that self-love, that self-godliness that is needed to direct godliness. It is that equal infinity. And so those of us that have come as crystalline children, we've gone through so much abuse because of who we are in the expression of who we are, that perfection of who we are as God's crystal. That was not accepted in lower vibrational environments, that we were just kind of dropped in to do our work and to be our work and to be the light of source, to be our light of our creative genius, our creative perfection. Although those around us didn't understand it, didn't accept it, because that's where they were at in their consciousness. But of course, when you're 2 and 3 and you're 1 years old, you don't know that. You just want to be your godliness. So these systems of what has been and what has always been 3D imperfections of the lower mind. So what we want now is to see your reality and infuse your reality, intend your reality to be of a higher mind reality, in which we are creating new systems of higher mind alignment. We're creating new systems of all things, all beings being perfect in and of itself, because it is. Every child has a unique, diverse soul template. And those of us that come forward with crystalline templates, those of us that come forward with hybridization templates, of higher angelic templates, we're offering the higher templates to say, this is a template, and there's lots of codes within it, but there's infinite diversity within that. Again, when you're calling in and working with all of your soul fragments, it's impossible to understand the magnitude of how vast your soul is, and why you do have to go back to those lower vibrational densities, or back home, if you will, so that you can know that it wasn't bigger than you. You're calling it and you're healing it with self-loving and gratitude and self-loving care. And wow, you really did that. And those are those gratifying moments of self-perfection. And sometimes those of us that have been through so much abuse and have been brought up in certain energies where you were not appreciated or valued in any way, but you were abused, stolen from, or harvested, if you will. All of those have to be very self-entrained experiences for that next level up. So this is what I'm offering to you for you today, is understanding what true perfection is from a higher light liturgy, infusing it and working with it every day, understanding the various aspects of consciousness that we see on our planet is now correlating with itself. There is a lower consciousness, there's a middle consciousness, and there's a higher consciousness. And those of all will be shifted in and out to make sure that we're very vibrationally and efficiently aligned, because source is of, creation is of, your kundalini is of, your DNA is of. The highest level of efficiency. If you're not using it, then it will be turned off. Or if you're abusing it, then it will be turned off. So everything in creation is about perfection and efficiency. Are you being efficiently aligned? Which I said to my teams a couple weeks ago. I said, I want to be more efficiently used, because having me work in these very low experiences over and over and over again, it's like playing in kindergarten. I've already done that 8 million times. I don't want to see any more of that dodecahedron. I want to move up and be a higher of efficiency, so that my light can always be stretched in higher ways. I can be used in higher specific ways with higher collective systems, and I can access and be of a higher vibrational help. I can offer more of my light to where it's needed more, instead of being kept low in these stories that are not my stories. And so there has been a great shifting out, and there's going to continue to be a great shifting out, because it's not to any evolution if I'm kept in lower vibrational experiences due to other people's sick games of control and abuse and domination. I've learned those lessons. And so that's where I just cut the cords and move on. Even if you have to take a loss or many losses, cut the cords, because Spirit will always offer you a new world, a new realm, a new abundance, a new blessings. Nothing is missed in creation. If you've served 500 people and you've awakened 500 people with your unconditional offering, with your offerings of who you are as God's perfection, all of those blessings will always come back, because again, the number 2 law is always being balanced. So there will always be those return God blessings back to you. That's God's perfection. You've offered your God perfection. God's perfection is going to be offered back to you, equal measure. So in those experiences, and as I was playing basketball, and I said to my teens, I said, well, in all honesty, that's in my coding, just to surrender to, okay, well, what's next? So, let me get on with my transmuting. I'm here for great purpose. I know that I do a lot of clearing of darkness. I know that I make great change that nobody else can do. So that's my surrender, is because I am like a workhorse. I know how to transmute energy. I know how to go to the darkest places and do what needs to be done. I have the energy and I have the wisdoms. I have the efficiency now. And so I don't spend a lot of time in that self-gratifying, I am perfect experiences. So they're practicing with me on this new level up, because this new level up is going to have me manage and direct energy from a godly place. I cannot do that from a godly place if I'm not sitting in any self-gratifying of being godly. So in every level up you are with your higher self is going to say, okay, you made a lot of sandwiches in all the lower and all the middle experiences, but now we want you to make sandwiches in the higher experiences. So how can you make a sandwich in the higher experiences? And part of that sandwich is saying, wow, I put the bread together, I put the sauces together, I put the meat together, I put the cheese together. Wow, this really tastes good. You have to give yourself that gratifying experience to be perfect in the making of the gratification. Does that make sense? Part of knowing you're perfect and being in the knowingness of the higher self is, yeah, I did that. I fucking rocked. Like, give yourself 5 minutes or 10 minutes or even a half an hour or more of, wow, look what I did today. I went through the entire day without not dropping to a lower vibrational perspective. I kept my vibration high. Wow, look what I did today. That's amazing. I'm connecting with the trees. I'm connecting with nature. I didn't judge one person today. Wow, look at me. I'm in training to my higher self. So allow yourself those self-gratifications, because that's a part of the reverberation in this new ascension cycle. Remember, the center point has changed. The center point will always ask you to expand and contract in new ways. God's giving you new cosmic breath. God's giving you new cosmic light. The song of that new substrate has changed. And you can work with that song, which is what I talk about and I offer on all of my ascension videos. The substrates are new and different. How are you working with it? It's your reality. Your body is shifting every day because your body is taking on more of divine perfection. How are you working with it every day? Are you being in jubilation? Are you being in honor? And are you going out to have your relaxed, slow movement and having those conversations with God, having conversations with the birds as they whip in and out? And that's what I do with my connection. I start my day with connection and relationship. And I end my day with connection and relationship. I work with the substrates. I work with the omnipresent. I work with Mother, Father, God. I'm surrendering myself to the systems of light that I work for and on behalf of. That's why I don't need any outer lower vibrational compass. I don't need any lower vibrational compass to say, no, Joanna, we want to put you in this definition. We want to put you in this box. We want you to play in our story. That's why it's been easier for me to separate and detach and say, no, I don't want to play in your story. I have a higher compass. I have a higher story. I don't need what you're offering. And that's where I will always remain in abundance with Source. Because Source is my highest compass. It is my highest perfection. I would be reducing myself if I played in anybody else's game. I went there to do great work. I went there to heal my wounds. I went there to offer light. I went there to help others and assist others for a very long time, unconditionally, without being given a penny. And they stole and they took and they raped and they ruined and they isolated me and they slow daggered me. So then God says, okay, let's cut that off. Let's move you into a new substrate. So everything's being shifted because it's not efficient. I'm being absolutely used and abused. So how okay is that for the rest of creation? It's not. I serve all creation. And who's going to win in that chess game? Creation will. Mother, Father that create galaxies just out of a breath, they're not going to have somebody of a multiverse master going to sit in a low vibrational 3D cult environment where I'm being impelled with black magic and darkness and hate every day. How's that okay for the rest of creation? It's not. I carry the light of the multiverse. No, I'm out. I'm moving. I'm shaking. I'm going to create my own world. Bye. See ya. Cut my losses. I'm out. Because most likely none of those people, they've spent all the money. They've done whatever they've done. They've all lied. There's 50 people involved, officials. Every part of society was involved in trying to take me out and isolate me and rip my life apart on every level, and then study me to see how their magic was working and to see how my substrate within me was being deconstructed and being demoralized and being devalued and deintegrated and all of those things they wanted to me. I say, well, you forgot that I'm not playing your party anymore. You did abuse me. You did bring me great trauma and damage, but I've worked my way out of that pit of hell and I'm never going back and you're never coming back into my life. So those people in that arena of corruption, including the corrupt governments and the secret human testing that were done on me, nobody's ever come forward to have any accountability, so they're sitting in a low consciousness. I'm giving this to you because this is what's going to be coming out in many different fractions of our reality. And we have to see it from a DNA allocation and how we can and then interfuse new systems, because everything that's coming out right now for me now forward is new systems. New systems, new systems, new systems. So we have to see things for what it is and then align directly with the heavens, new systems, new systems, new systems. Because you've learned all those lessons, you're going to pull it up and you're going to weave it. You're going to pull the juice, you're going to pull the sandwich of everything you want to keep with you, and then you're going to integrate and make new, and that's working with the energy, and nobody does it better than me. I can make something complex and dense with vibrational manipulation and spell work and drama and eons of curses and hexes and people working in very deep darkness of greed and manipulation and selfishness and wrong misguided beliefs about secret societies and wrong misguided beliefs about religion. I can go into such dense fucking mess, and I can say that's that. Boom. Clear the density, clear the density, clear the density. Here's what we need to do. Boom, moving forward, out and over. Instead of wasting 10 years of rhetoric, wasting people's money, wasting time and energy, and all of the mess that goes in it when all these people want to do is just try and create more deflection so they don't have to be accountable for their deeds. And we can really get to the point of it and say, no, here is the answer. As I said, I am the key to a lot of the stuff that they created. I don't have to sit and help them fix it, which is a choice God gave me. God says, there's an infinite number of timelines you can do. What timeline do you want? I said, I'm not going back to do anything in that timeline. They were given years to honor the light and honor the benevolence that I offered unconditionally. Hundreds of videos of how to heal, hundreds of videos of how to work with source, hundreds of videos how to honor your own self-sovereignty. It was offered, and again, hundreds of emails and hundreds of legal papers to suggest healing charts and how to move beyond what they were doing. And it was all just spit on and laughed on, and they kept taking and stealing from me and trying to hide me because of their warped false claims, trying to make me disappear and all of those things. They had to support their lies. The big mess they had to do to support their lies, all you have to do is pull that one string out and it all comes falling down, which is what I said. They're self-imploding right now. Because the truth of the matter still remains. I am that I am. I am infinite. I am eternal. I will always be light, and I will always shine. You will never hide me. You will never make me small. You will never make me a part of your story, because my consciousness is my consciousness. You will not sacrifice me. You will not allow me to buy into your dumbass dark stories. I've been there 8 million times. Don't want to do it anymore. Been there, done that. Bye. I learned my lesson. I healed. I transmuted. Doesn't matter what they throw at me. It will be sent right back, and now they're sitting in their mess. Because their lies are still lies. It doesn't go anywhere. Their wounds are still their wounds. It doesn't go anywhere. Why? Perhaps you start healing now. Perhaps you start opening up my channel so that everybody actually understands who they are, what they exist with, and what's going on within them. And maybe they get beyond those 7 woundings and the 7 sins. They keep moving around in the same mental virus, in the same mental capacity, in the same mental web, in the same mental jail. Because that's where they'll end up, is in jail. They will end up in jail because their abuses are criminal. Sacrificing is a criminal abuse. It's not something held for the elite secret society. No, it's a low vibrational, corrupt abuse. And it is a criminal abuse, and we will make new laws. Covert occult abuse. The abuse of voodoo, the abuse of spells, the abuse of those that are using those experiences and not abiding by universal laws. You're sabotaging, you're interfering with innocent people's lives, and you have no idea the infinite lives that they are meant to touch and to affect. The 15 years that were wasted to bring me down and suppress me and to take me out and to break me, their intentions were utter malicious, masochistic malice. Their intentions were to kill me and to have me never step up, to ruin my lineage, to destroy my lineage, and to take all of the monies and all of the gifts as if they could take my gifts and put them back into a dark-ass person. They couldn't hold the higher consciousness because they're low and dark. They don't get it. They're not doing the math. They don't get it because all they see is greed. They see from that draconian reptilian experience of survival, and all they care about is taking. Their DNA allocation is very low. My DNA allocation is very high. I'm not playing your game. I never was. Those were your constructs, not mine. I wasn't even on your ball field. I'm not even in your dimension. So let God work it out. Let God do all the karma distribution, and the same story remains. I speak truth. I always have spoken truth. Everything that I've said is true. There's been human testing. There's been human experimenting. There's been a lot of sabotaging. Sabotaging you can't even count. There has been infinite and countless abuses of the highest spiritual laws. So much abuse. Tunneling into my dreams, tunneling into my kosh, trying everything in their power to make me go away, to make me not be here, to make me be something I'm not, and to create me as a weapon. And they are all seeing their exact return and the exact impalement and the exact self-implosion. All of them are. I don't care what their level or what their so-called fake-ass community title is that they abuse their power in. They will all be pulled out and they will be all held responsible. Every single one of them. Judge, banker, police, every action of corruption against an innocent divine healer lightworker that had the answers for every ailment on this planet, you better bet that everybody's getting the harshest of karma, because they were told for years to stop and they didn't. They chose to continually rape, steal, take, withhold, keep me hidden, keep me erased, manage my platforms as if anybody had an ounce of fucking right, and they didn't. Nobody had a right to hold my monies. None of it. Nobody did. And their false claims about me being dead or crazy. Okay, well, was there any due diligence done by anybody in the insurance or in the banking or in the government? No due diligence. No interview, no discussion with me. They believed false ass, pathological, lying, secret cults. They believed the man, they believed the masculine, and they gathered everybody in their community up to 50 to collaborate their lies and their schemes and their negotiations, and everybody got paid while I was sitting homeless and hungry. And thank you to my beautiful clients that sent me donations for money. I would not have eaten the past 2 years if it weren't for my clients. I'm not talking about fake clients. I'm talking about my clients, my disciples that have been with me from the beginning. And they will not be touched. They are protected by Lord Michael. And they will be blessed tenfold. And God will lift everybody that was there when nobody else wasn't. And this was a very profound lesson for me in this lifetime, because there was nobody that reached out to me. There was nobody that offered me anything. In the struggles of the abuse and the targeting, nobody offered anything. I had to go and seek, and I had to go and ask. And so then you ask yourself, why would I want to be with tribes that don't offer and know you're struggling and know you're suffering because they've caused it, they've sabotaged you, they've watched it, and all they've done is laugh and party on you and find out new ways where they can steal from you and harvest off of you. They can take your work and call it theirs. They can try and make a business because all they're wanting to do is get on the bandwagon of your hard work and your energy. No, that's my work. It's my energy. You're not a conduit. You're a low vibrational dark ass person that likes to steal because you have a low vibrational DNA. Okay, so why don't you go there, start there first, do your 3 A's, do your 3 E's, and how about you heal? Which was the same message about 8 million times, and they kept choosing not to. Because they didn't want their deeds of what they were doing behind closed doors to come out, and I called them out on it. Because you cannot change unless you face who you are. And you were given years and years and years to do it very subtly and very in your own privacy, but you didn't, because you kept invading my space, you kept invading my lanes, and therefore, thus then, you forced your way into my lane. I'm going to call out everything God shows me. There was hundreds of emails. I have proof, dates and times, and the very conversations that I had with people. I know exactly what's going on behind closed doors. And if you don't stop doing what you're doing, I will call every one of you out. And I called every one of them out because they wanted to play hardball with God. So now you're playing hardball with God, and God will take each and every one of you to court. Maximum sentences for criminal abuse. Occult abuse is criminal abuse. You don't have a fucking right. So all witches and all warlocks and all occultists and all voodooists, go straight to the Emerald Tablets, go straight to the universal laws, and know it inside and out, because the laws will now start to be managed around such. And I will call you out, and I will see each and every one of you in court. And any lie and any veil and any cloaking and anything you want to try and put over yourself so you don't have to face your deed, I will be the one that will face you. And I will say, no, you're raping and you're destroying of my life. I will absolutely face you, because you didn't do it once. You didn't do it twice. You did it a couple thousand times. And why? No, none. Few would have ever survived what I went through. The disgusting human testing and human targeting, and then watching me on my videos to see how much of their spells and their targeting has worked. How much of their mental manipulation and taking of me and sabotaging me and stealing my money. How much of the destroying of Joanna has worked. Ha 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 ha, let's see, the Mean Girls Club, let's meet up. Oh boy, let's study our victim. Let's study our little lab rat. And everybody got paid. And so you have to live with that story. How does it feel to take money to destroy somebody? You must feel really important and really big. Does that make you feel powerful? That's your story you have to live with. Wow, I took money to take out an earth angel. Over and over and over again. Do the forensic audits on every single person involved. And where does the 5,000 here and 5,000 there and 6,000 there while I sat with no food, and the only reason why I ate was because of my 1 or 2 loyal clients. And they know who they are, and they will be blessed tenfold. The only reason why I ate this week was because of my clients. And these people are sitting in court still arguing that I don't deserve money and energies and properties that are rightfully, legally fucking mine. That were mine hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Why? Because I come from a royal lineage, and my ancestors will beat the crap out of everybody involved until everybody gets it. You don't get to play God. My lineage has been here from the very first incarnation of God. So you better make sure that I'm going to get my blessings. And it doesn't matter if you're the highest judge on this fucking planet. You are going to go down. I want the top dogs. I'm coming after you, each and every one of you. And I will see you, each and every one of you, in court. I don't give a crap about your title. I don't give a crap about your so-called income. I don't give a crap. I know what you do behind closed doors. I'm calling you out. You had no right to fuck me over 1,000,000 times. And then lie about it and deny about it. And then the icing on the cake, these people were so egregious. They then went to the extra overkill and then blamed all of their deeds on me. So not only did I cause my own abuse, but I'm actually blamed for all of my abuse and the black magic when I don't even do black magic. Never did, never will, because it's a low vibrational consciousness. And I'm one with God. I don't need to. I'm always blessed. Even if I'm homeless, even if I'm living in my car, God will always make sure, Joanna, we got money coming for you this week. Don't worry, you're going to eat. Well, all those people in court trying to fight, well, how can we make up new lies? How can we make up new schemes to make sure that our deeds never get known? We got to make sure our deeds don't get known. We don't care anything about the people's lives that we've destroyed through our lies and our deceit and our underground little playground where you sell and you harvest people. Well, you must be so proud. You must be so proud earning the top 5% of income in your social collective, and then you still have to go and harvest and corrupt more to get more money. You make 5%, the top 5% of the income herders, and then they do more corruption to make even more money and screw even more people of the innocent. So how's that okay? That's why God's going to say enough is enough. This corruption is just disgusting and overkill. Perfection in that which it will be, because it's all over the world. Such corruption in the ugliest form. And you did it on the most innocent person on the planet. So you better make sure, you better bet. You better bet, get your little pyramid bidding papers and all the little names that you put on and all your false marriages and all the little things the polygamous communities do and their little satanic communities do about who they're going to sacrifice next, who they're going to do spell work next, how they're going to pay for their witch and warlocks, how they're going to do this, how they're going to do that, and all the government testing and all the human testing and all the things that they do because they don't understand how one divine feminine can know what she knows. Well, you could have just booked a fucking appointment instead of wasting a couple $1 million to try and take me out. How about you do that? How about you just be a normal, honoring person and respect God? However God shows up, everything's God. It's all God. But you're so disconnected. All you care about is keeping your corrupt life because of your non-healed divine feminine masculine energies, and because of your unhealed wounds, you chose to attack a perfectly innocent divine healer. All she did was tell truth and give. All I did was give, and I was harvested from the most disgusting experiences ever. If you don't know what it feels like to be raped when you wake up every day because they're harvesting from your sacral, it's disgusting. It's not, I don't feel that anymore as of the last week because God's cut all the cords and nobody has access to me. They were still harvesting as of last week. Harvesting feels disgusting. Disgusting. For somebody that's been celibate for 15 years. For somebody that would never allow anybody to touch her body that doesn't care for themselves. I understand energy to a very finite experience. Why would I ever allow somebody that runs an underground crime ring, why would I ever allow them to touch me? I wouldn't. Because you don't respect yourself. I see perfection in you, but you don't see your perfection. Therefore, you're affecting my energy. Not only that, they took it 10 steps farther and overkill. They tried all of their schemes and all of their plots and all their lies and all their plans and blame me for their deeds. Well, how is that even possible? I'm on a totally different dimension, a totally different energy. I don't lie, I don't steal, I don't do black magic, I don't do any of these things, and it will be proven on every level because God says it's ridiculous and laughable. You have destroyed her on so many levels, you will not touch her ever again. So none of these people are ever going to be given access. So as of right now, all of the people in Calgary, and they know who they are, my ex and everybody he was involved with, everybody in Calgary, you weren't my family and you weren't my friends. You never helped me out. All you did was use and abuse me. You stole, you harvested, you lied, you falsified countless crimes against me spiritually, countless crimes against me financially, countless crimes against me psychologically. The list goes on and on and on and on. It's countless. The abuse, the sabotage is countless. And all you care about is you not having your money. And the only reason why I ate this week was because of my client. And she will always be protected. Why? Because she saw my perfection from the very first radio episode that I put on. That's how you know. I don't have to prove anything. I came pure, authentic, and genuine. That's who I am, just as a little girl in the garden. And just as everybody ostracized me, and just as everybody thought what they thought, I'm a genius. And I can outthink people in circles by the time they even get to the sentence that they're asking questions on. So have me in court and put me on stage. I challenge each and every one of you. I have nothing to prove, but God does. And God will pull the most crass, the most corrupt, the highly touted, the most unfortunate person that has given their energy and their income to underground rings that have just destroyed human life. That have taken my money and my property and call it theirs when they had not an ounce of right and no due diligence done on anybody's behalf. I've worked in government. I've worked for the Ombudsman office. I've worked for banks. I've worked for an investigation unit at the Royal Bank. There is no system of any great corporation that doesn't have checks and balances and due diligence. I've worked in every one of those departments to ensure the safety and the integrity of the people. Not an ounce, not a feather has been done on my behalf in any way. I was literally, intentionally, maliciously, masochistically left for dead. That's what they wanted. And to keep impaling me with their darkness every day. Not an ounce, not an ounce, not an ounce. And this is what I cry about in my healing. Not an ounce was ever given or offered to see how I was or how I was doing. But why would they? Because they caused it. They don't give a fuck. They were getting away with corruption for a very long time, until I was the only person that survived their shit. "300 rituals done on me, or more. Over 30 sacrifices done on me, or more. Many people were taken out because I was the one that was going to survive and talk each and every one of these people, every 50 of them, and even more, because this will be a global experience and my case will be known all over the world, all throughout the multiverse. Occult abuse will no longer be, and if you choose to do it, you will absolutely be causing your own karma immediately. Honor the universal laws or get off. Get out of my lane. You forced your way into my lane, and now I'm coming. There ain't nothing going to stop anything. This is God's place now. Y'all wanted to play hardball. Y'all wanted to spit on God and laugh. When I sat with nothing, trying to transmute the crap that was sent to me every day by groups of ignorant, misguided people that give their power away to Lucifer and Satan. And then they call themselves righteous. You're not righteous. You're not at all. You're a very wounded, tiny little soul. And the courts will prove and show as guilty can be. I heal people. I bring people to life. You take people out and you corrupt. So who are you? Not one penny has been given back to me. Not one apology. I don't need it. I don't want it. We're not going to get together. We're not going to have a meeting. We're not going to meet up somewhere. I'm not going to meet you somewhere. I'm not going to travel with you anywhere. I'm not going to go for cookies with you. I'm not going to go for coffee with you. I'm not going to go for drinks with you. I don't want to sit down and talk with you. I'm not going to have any engagement with you whatsoever. It's been 50 years that I've been on this planet, and I've been attacked from hexes and curses that you can imagine and not imagine. Every deity in the creation has been called to take me out, to eat me, to swallow me, and to rape me through and through. Because you think that you can take what I am and what I have, and you can't and you never will. Why? Because I am of the ancients and I am of the futures, and my essence is my fingerprint, and it will never ever go away. It is my breath, and I am the song of God, and I will be eternal. And you will never take that. You will never copy it. You will never mimic it. And God will assure of it. I will not be touched. And we said that about 8 billion times, but you didn't listen. You still wanted to play ego God over me. And you will never be ego God over me. You will never control me. You will never have me. I will not negotiate. I will not compromise. I will not counteroffer anything that you put forward. So it better include distress. It better include the monies and the times. And it better include every day that my platform was at 0 YouTube corruption and government corruption. That none of you in every law, in every universe, none of you had an ounce of right, a human right, a spiritual right, none of you. And you all know this. This is why you're scammering. None of you had an ounce of right to fuck me over the way that you have. 0. There was not 1 ounce of right. Do you know the psychological trauma of how much I put out and how much I transmute and how much I pray and how much I love and how much I give and how much I heal and how much I give every day, and then to wake up and see my platform still at 0 and the disgusting comments that are on my live stream? Not so much anymore. Thank you to my loyal people online. Everybody is being watched. All IP addresses are being followed because now they're seeing that God is lifting me and showing each and every person who I am in their dream time, in their ethereal time. I said who I was a long time ago. I had nothing to prove. God is. I don't have anything to prove. I'm certainly not going to prove anything to low vibrational people that kept sabotaging me, taking and raping me every fucking day because they don't choose to heal themselves and get their own life force from within. For a divine feminine that has loved herself from being molested as a child, for a divine feminine that has loved herself from being abused and raped, from a divine feminine that has not been heard, that has not been given credit, that has not been given 1 fucking ounce of love on this fucking planet. I haven't been touched in 15 years by a kind and loving person. And they intended that. They wanted me to never have anything. They wanted my life to be desolate. They wanted my life to be horrible. They were masochists, and they didn't care about the damage they did to me. These were their intentions because they wanted to run me insane. For a woman to have gone through all that I did and then to be impaled with harvesting rape, sex orgies as they focus on my name and my energy, and they pass it around their little underground sex orgy rings. How do you think that feels to a divine feminine that has not been taken seriously in all of her life? I want you, each and every one of you, I want you to think about that because this is your divine feminine that you're healing. How does it feel to a divine feminine that was molested as a child and had absolutely no safety of her body, and then to be absolutely dropped in the center of a Wolverine crime ring, satanic crime ring where they did sacrifices on her every other day? They did rituals on her to make her go ugly and to make her be in poverty, to make sure she breaks a bone or make sure her car breaks down or make sure she runs off the side of the mountain in her car. Whatever spell and whatever outcast that anyone can do, these people did, and they did it with maliciousness, and they did it with intention, and they were very systematic about their spell casting. They were very systematic about what I would receive mentally, and they projected their weaponization of technology on me, and they hacked my accounts, and they hacked everything they could hack, and they could abuse everything they could abuse, and they can come in my live streams and talk utter shit about somebody they don't even know. I am of such pristine revelations of consciousness, dear lighted ones. I am an angel, and I am walking here on earth in my hybrid form. I don't give a fuck if anybody believes me or wants to believe it. I don't give a fuck. I am a channeler just like all the other channelers. I bring profound wisdoms and profound healings and profound codes of the Christ. I want you to think in this moment. What does it feel like for a divine feminine to have put out all that she has put out as divine unconditional offerings for Mother, Father, the systems of light, for healing for this planet, to prepare for first contact, to prepare for higher evolution, to prepare for higher DNA, to prepare for higher brain activity? How do you think a divine feminine that all she has done is give the thousands and thousands of pages every 2 months that I put out in blog and wisdom postings? 3 books that I have written, over 700 videos, and all I have done is give and be 100% truth. I don't give a fuck who I offend. This is anger and agitation from 50 years of absolutely being spit on because low vibrational people don't understand light. That's not my problem. Perhaps you go in and heal. I offered you infinite chances and infinite wisdoms and infinite opportunities to go within and love yourself and heal yourself. I was an angel placed before you to show you that. But instead, you wanted to kill me and take from me and rape from me and just swap my destiny as if you could hold my destiny for a moment. Because you can't. Your consciousness simply is not there. You're not even connected with your higher self. You're blocked in all your chakras. You have so many woundings. You not only have 51% of karma, but you have 80% of karma you now have to work through just because you impaled me for a full year. And for those that have been doing it for many decades. In their secret little files, in their secret little ways, they pay secret societies to come and attack me. So I say to this once again, what does it do to a divine feminine soul where she is connected to the multiverse and she is connected to every ancient and beautiful little crystalline child? What does it do to her to have an orgy where you're intending her name and her consciousness so you can harvest off of her? And then you intend conjuring through having sex, and you're conjuring my name and my consciousness into anybody that you're fucking. How do you think that feels? And what does that do to the person that you're fucking? That's why you're all diseased. That's why you're all getting huge amounts of karma, because you had no right to use my name in any way. Not even to jack off. You don't have a right. And you will get karma. I told you that. You're not invited to my life force. You don't deserve my life force. And if you jack off to me, and if you jack off to my pictures and images, you're doing something that is crossing spiritual boundaries and laws. Why? Because I feel everything, and it's disgusting. My soulmate is in 5D. My soulmate is a celestial being. I will not partner with anybody in 3D woundedness of an unhealed divine masculine that plays his traumas and his baby mama issues on a healed divine feminine. Grow up. How to Train Your Dragon. Why don't you get healed? How to Train Your Dragon. Divine feminine can say no. Why don't you train your dragon? Human rights laws are human rights laws, and I have my rights. If I say no, it means fucking no. We're not getting together. We're not going to bake cookies. You're not going to come back in my energy to see how you can rape, harvest, and steal from me again and place more of your sabotaging crimes on my energy or my name, because you have done enough damage. I'm connected to the multiverse. You raped me, you raped the multiverse. And I had to heal it. All I do is offer light. How is that okay? How's that balance? How's that justice? And all these people fight about is how to keep my money when it's not even theirs. It's my money, assholes. Again, you're going to self-implode. Why? Because you're going around in a dark circle and it's all lies. All you care about is money that's not yours. You're harvesting. You're harvesting specialists. That's what you do. So I teach people how to reclaim their power, how to reclaim their light so they don't get harvested. Because lies are lies, deceits are deceits, spell work is spell work, manipulations are manipulations, and that's where you sit. The wounds are still there. You still got to go back to the wounds. But we said that already, didn't we? About 8 million times. I want you to think about this one more time. What damage does it do to a divine feminine that was dropped here with profound wisdoms and intelligence to be placed against everybody she meets to be an abuser? To be molested by those people that say they trust and care for her. To be stolen from, taken from, lied to, infinite number of times. You can't even count the number of lies and manipulations, even on legal paperwork, perjured, about lies and defamations. The number of lies that were told on me, you can't even count because nobody knows me. I live a hermit life. That is truth. I live in prayer and work with Mother, Father, God, the grids and Gaia, and all of Creative Collective. That is a truth. And what are you going to do when you follow me and spy on me? Like you stand out like a sore thumb. I see you every time you send your little stalkers and spies. Boom, boom, boom. I see all of you. And I take pictures of your cars, and I take pictures of your license plate numbers. And I have a log of everybody that stalks me and everybody that spies on me. And God will make sure the right emails will get to me, the right monies will get to me, and God will make sure that those that truly want to be healed will be sent to me now, because everybody from the lower dimensions are cut off. They don't have access to me anymore. And they can think they're jacking off to me, and they can think they're doing their little sex orgy rings to me, but they're not. They're just creating a lot of karma and sick dicks. Because we said enough was enough 2 years ago, and it was overkill. Nobody had a fucking ounce of right. And I'm going to stand up and speak for every divine feminine that didn't make it. That's my voice. I was lucky enough to have the legions working with me and healing me every day. I have teams of people that are healing me from the abuses that have taken place over 50 years. The curses and hexes you cannot even count. So oblivious to spiritual law and spiritual knowledge and wisdoms. And if these witches and warlocks and these curse hexers and these voodooists, whatever you call yourself, I don't give a fuck what you call yourself. If you have no knowledge of universal laws, you are not anything of ranking. You just aren't. You are in a low vibrational pattern of survival mode. And that's all you think you know. But I'm saying and I'm reflecting to you that your infinite godliness, if you so choose, if you choose to get out of that warped perspective of sending spells on everybody and taking money for that, when all you're doing is creating a whole lot of karma that you're never going to get out of. And the next timeline you go back into, it'll be a diseased body. It'll be a dark timeline and you'll never get out. Why? Because that's what you chose out of your hate. You were given years to step out of that hate and just heal yourself. Because I wasn't your issue, it was your childhood wounding. It was your other lineage wounding. It wasn't me at all, because none of you even know me. Nobody had my signature. Nobody had my right for signatures. My signatures, my IDs have been falsified. On every level. Not one person has come to me. I have not signed one paper besides my divorce. Do the fucking math. Do the forensic accounting, and you will see monies, 5,000 by the 5,000 by the 5,000. 5,000, I would have paid off all my debt by now. If I would have had the money rightfully mine. And I would have been healing collectives by this time, but I haven't. I was delayed and sabotaged for 15 years. And I want every day compensated. I want every day and every spell accounted for. Every time you did a hate spell, every time you did a sacrifice, I want it accounted for. Why? Because I put it back towards the people that are being wounded and hurt just like I was. I'm not going to sit back and go on a really long, expensive vacation and tout off and spend other people's money on booze and alcohol. No, I'm going to put it back towards the people and trying to get clean water to Pakistan. Why? Because that's why we're initiated. We're initiated and we're tested. And everybody was tested. All of the elites, all of the judges, all of the lawyers, all of the police. Were you going to settle for 5,000 here and 500 there and 1,000 there to do falsified paperwork and falsified claims on one innocent healer? Are you kidding me? I'm a healer. Seriously? That's your next tactic? Your slow dagger tactic is to put all of your crimes on a divine healer? God will kick your ass right to the end of creation and back again. This is how ridiculous and how obnoxious it is. 0, 0, 0 accountability. And I'm the voice for every child in the underground. I'm the voice for every divine feminine that gets beat up every day and her finances stranglehold by a controlling asshole of an ex-husband or a husband that thinks that they can't move it through life without them being their master. We're not back in barbarian times. We don't live in caves. And even if we did, no divine feminine would ever, 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 ever give an ounce of her life and hand it over to somebody that is an abuser because you want to feel good about your power over others. And it ain't power at all, it's abuse. Misogyny, polygamy, cannibalism, all of these masochistic experiences where you're sharing your life force and most of you are not even healed. Go think about it. Do the math on that. If you have 3 or 4 partners and you have 3 or 4 wives and you're sharing your life force and those people that you're sharing it with are not healed and they're not doing their soul integration and they're not doing their healing, they're sharing everything that you are in every vessel that you put your dick into and the vessel being put in the dicks of. And you tell me how healing and how aligned and how purified that is. And if you want to live that way, fine, there is no judgment. I'm saying in the energy of energetics and quantumness, everybody you share your life force with, everybody you share your life force with, it goes in and out of every partner that you have, and you're sharing whatever demons, whatever attachments with everybody that you partner with, sit at the table with. You don't know who you are. You're not working with who you are. You don't know what you exist within. You're not working with what you exist within, and you don't know what you exist within at all, and not going inside of you. So if you're not doing any of that work, what are you sharing your life force for? You're not responsible. You're not accountable. And why many of these people will have diseases and STDs. Why? Because you're holding no value of everything that you do with intention, everything that you do with intention on any part of your body, anything that you do with intention, whether you're conjuring another name, you're using your life force, or you're sharing it with partners, every intention that you do, and if you do not have self-love, if you do not have the alignment of perfection, you will absolutely manifest its equal negative opposite because you intended it. You intended it. And that's why God said nobody was able to use my life force and my energy, and why everybody that did orgies and why everybody that did jacking off to me, all those people that abused life force and my name and my consciousness with it, everybody's getting karma. And you're going to keep getting karma times 10 until you get it. Because you don't have a right to intend on my name. It's not your name. It's not your consciousness. It's not your energy. You're a harvester. Go find your own life force. It's within you. And once you heal yourself, once you love yourself, once you care for yourself, and once you care for your body, then you're going to be able to share it in a responsible way. Not with every Tom, Dick, and Harry where they're unhealed and they don't know what they're doing. It's a mess. It's an energetic mess. Because nobody that you're sharing with is healed. Nobody that you're sharing with is self-sovereign within themselves. Nobody that you're sharing with has any idea who they are. No, they just want to be taken care of by one really rich guy, and that one really rich guy gets to share life force with everybody. Okay, so every woman is sharing life force with every other woman. How okay is that? You got demons and entities attached all over you. You got long-term vows and curses and hexes you're all dealing with. It's a nightmare. It's a house of nightmare. And once everybody awakens to their energy, they're going to see it's a house of nightmare. Who are they going to call? What healer is going to understand that multidimensional mess? Every person you put your life force into, you're taking on their attachments, you're taking on their curses, their hexes, their vows, and you're taking on their karma. Say that times 10. You get somebody, if you're with somebody that has really bad karma, they're not doing their lessons, they're not honoring sacred life, you are taking on their karma. And this is those people that were attacking me, they knew that. They knew that if they could just get with me, if they could just have sex with me, if they could just get back in my energy, they could dump their karma on me. And this is what they do in their really underground sick world, is they harvest and they throw their karma on innocent little children and innocent little beings. That's what makes me sick. And I'm trying not to judge it. That's a part of my being human. And I'm here to heal all that. I'm telling you the operation and the absolute mechanics of energy. People, get your dicks out of people and go get healed. And women, stop allowing so many dicks to come into your vessel. Go get healed. Be self-reliant. There is no greater orgasm than the one that you give yourself because you're pure in love with yourself. You take care of yourself and you're one with God. Try being celibate for 2 years. That's a bare minimum. Any man that wants to be with a healed divine feminine, don't even approach her unless you've been celibate for 2 years. Get yourself clean. Clean your fields, clean your aura, clean your chakras, clean up your life. No healed divine feminine is going to take anything to do with that karmic mess. Why? Because we have our authority now. We have our rights. And if you force it onto her by rape, that's even more karma. More karma, more karma, more karma, more karma. You have no idea what you're manifesting for yourself. Infinite timelines of curses and hexes. You've lost your divinity. Is that worth it? Is that worth it to play power over another? Is that worth it to get a $500 amount here? Is it worth it for you to sell your soul knowing that you've lost your entire divinity? You will never be protected. You will never be supported by God. Because you chose to take out an innocent healer that has the capacity to heal hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Is it really worth it? Oh, Epstein, crime rings of the underground, black web, trafficking underground. I pierce my light into it every day, and I'm telling you what goes on. If you're going to live in a certain lifestyle, if you're going to live in a certain way, I want you to do an infinity, and I want you to draw it out every day. And I want you to ask yourself, is this going to be a good response for me in the return? If you're with somebody in any way, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually, you are taking on whatever is in their field and whatever they have manifested for themselves. And if they are someone that does not live by a high standard of who they are as God, self-care, who they are as God, the energetics are quite simple. You will take that on. And if you've done your work for 17 years, as I have, for somebody to put their name and my name in a little bag and say, this is who we're going to focus our intention on so we can harvest off her as we have our orgy, let's all do this. Does this sound like a good idea? And now they're manifesting karma times 10. Because God has seen the trauma and the damage it does to me when I have to heal those dumbass experiences. And I take it on every knock on the chin and I get back up. And I tell each and every one of you every time I come on a video, if you're going to behave in certain ways, absolutely knows there's going to be kickback. And it's going to be twice as hard now. Why? Because we're in new energy. The substrates are higher. And why? Because there's people that aren't going to be okay with corruption. They're going to call it out even if it is their boss. I've never had a boss. I've never signed with anybody. I've never been given a penny. Therefore, there's no contracts. There's no relationships. There's no employer. There's no employee. I've always been a creative consultant, and I will always be a creative consultant. I will never work for anybody. Those have always been my truths. It will always be my truths. I'm not meeting with anybody. Everybody knows what they have stolen. Everybody knows what they did. Everybody knows their dirty deeds that they did against me to hide their own dirty deeds and their own wounding. So I say to you once more times for the billionth time, go heal. Because I was never your issue. I was the one that was blessed. You used me, you harvested, you raped, and you abused me for everything that I had. And I was left for nothing. I was left for dead. I was left homeless, and you all sat and partied and laughed. While the only people that cared were my clients. And again, they will be protected tenfold for eternity. And why my clients will not allow anybody from the chat room and anybody from a one-off situation to dump their karma on my innocent clients. My clients will not be used and my clients will not be abused. They will be protected as I. Because they like to sneak and snake their way in there. Anybody that Joanna talks to, let's sneak and snake our way in there to see if we can get in their energy and dump our karma on them. And we can blame them for a few of our crimes. This is just how noble and upright these people are. And these people hold official roles where they're being paid the top 5% of all incomes in our collective. And these are the people you've been giving power to. And I say, Lucifer and Satan, as I said in my post, Lucifer and Satan is what you think you're going to get power from, and you give power to, you give your energy to, you give your money to, and you put the pyramid scams in, and you pray for Lucifer to give you power, and you pray to Lucifer to give you money, you pray to Lucifer, and you giving all this to Lucifer. Lucifer and Satan are a lesson. Why? Because Lucifer and Satan take from you. They take your power. They take your rights. They take everything because you give it to them. You give them that power. You give them that energy. You say, okay, well, I want you to take my power away, Lucifer and Satan. I want all the power in the world. Make me really, really powerful so I can feel something that I've never felt before because I have no sense of self. You're still not healing the wound. You're still not healing the childhood trauma because you had power taken away from you when you were a child. You're still not healing your lineage traumas or your dogma traumas because you were told to do things you didn't want to do because you're really an evolved spirit, but you were told to be in oppressed and suppressed and oppressed experiences and environments. So again, it all comes down to the wounding and to the healing. Which are you going to choose? Lucifer and Satan are never going to give you anything, dear lighted ones. It's a lesson for you to see where your wounds are. It's not power you want. It's a sense of self that you want. And I've said that a million times. I will never join your cult. I will never join your collective. I will never join your group. I will never join your work company. I've never given my signature and I never will. I'm not going to meet with you. I never will. I'm not going to go for cookies with you. I never will. We're not going to be friends. We're not going to meet up. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what your confessions are. I don't care what your half-assed apologies are, as God has thy foot on thy neck. Because you all had 2 years to make it right and not one penny was ever given to me. As I sat crying every day for 8 years. Because that's how I heal. I cry every day. Does anybody care about that? Who heals the healer? What heals the healer is my beautiful clients that out of nowhere they send me money because they just knew I hadn't eaten in 2 days. That heals me. When the people that said they cared the most, when people said they were interested in my work the most, they were only interested to steal my ideas and harvest it to a dark-ass witch that wanted to turn everything into dark and turn everything that I did into a weapon. And then they tested it on me. And then they blamed me for their fucking crimes. This is how ridiculously stupid and dark these people are. And I will sue each and every one of you and I will get maximum sentencing. Because I am every mother. I am every healer. I am every light worker. I am every crystalline child that's been dropped somewhere of abuse and dysfunction. And people are just such idiots, they choose not to heal. And they choose just to keep impaling abuse, impaling abuse, impaling abuse. And we said stop a long time ago. I'm not playing your game. And so you send people off. You keep forcing yourself in the lane. You keep forcing, you keep forcing, you keep forcing. Well, if she's not going to come and play with us, we're going to keep forcing our way into her lane. Okay, and then God says, okay, we'll take you to court then. Watch us. Please watch us. You kept forcing your way into my lane. And now God's got you. God's got you right where God wanted you. All 50 of you, from wherever you come from around the world and all the monies that were put in to take me out, and your satanic rituals and your conjuring rituals and the demon rituals and all the little voodoos you have in your little closet, and some of them they've shown me have been destroyed because you know you're being watched. Destroy your little voodoo dolls all you want and burn them up and make sure that your evidence isn't going to be there, but God will make sure that something comes forward somehow, some way by someone. Because no amount of overkill abuse is going to be let go just as a mistake or, no, we didn't know. We just thought it was a joke. It wasn't a joke. You knew exactly what you're doing. You studied me and you watched me with intention. Your plans were malicious and they were absolutely, absolutely intentional. That's what magic is. It's intentional and it's focused. Slow Dagger is a systematic deconstruction. Go watch my videos on mind scraping. Their intention was to mind scrape me. And I will speak to the jury on all of my experiences. And how dangerous it is that children are in the houses of those that do black magic and conjuring and they don't care. The backfire. They don't care the sacrifice goes awry and it hits a child. They don't care. They only start caring when the authorities start to watch and say, well, hey, there's a lot of insurance money. There's a lot of this going to these people over here, and yet everybody's dropping off mysterious. All these mysterious things are happening. Well, because the black magic's got to go somewhere. 15 years of black magic and conjuring, where's it going to go? God said you're not touching me, so now what? Where's it going to go? Just as we told you, everything is the infinity. Why we said understand universal laws, you're going to get it right back. We told you not to do it. We told you it affected the children. I have emails, I have dates of exactly those words. Everything you're doing affects the children. You attack me, you attack the children. And what would you have said if I did and God allowed for me to be sacrificed and for me not to be here? It would affect the millions and millions of people that I'm supposed to touch and my platforms are supposed to be open to. Because I'm the only one with the informations from all timelines, from all ancients and all futures. God makes sure there are a select few that have access to Christ consciousness in the depths and the wisdoms that I have. And what would you have told the children? I want you to think about these stories because the what ifs is exactly why everybody is where they are right now and why it's so grave. Everybody thought it was a big joke because all they cared about was the money. But what if? You had to have a conversation with the children that I wasn't going to be here. And what if their potentials would have gone into deep depression and they would have gone into self-harm because I was the only access to Christ consciousness these children had. So you are sealing the coffin on their fate as well. If any of these people in these secret societies that abuse people every day, if any of them knew actually the damage and the destruction they do to one single soul and how it ripples through all creation, perhaps they wouldn't do what they do, and perhaps they would just sit and take the time and fucking heal. Because they will be back in another body. Anything they do to a child, they will be a child again. They will have the ramifications of their karma return because they will be back and they will be children again. And I say this on every one of my episodes. You will all be back. What planet and what reality are you creating? And if you don't clear your karma now, you're walking right back into it in a darker timeline, in a darker body. Because you will not be given light. You're not just arbitrarily given light. You have to understand how to get to that consciousness level. And why nobody in those lower vibrational secret societies, they're so misguided and they're wrongly informed, lower vibrational secret societies that do crime and kill people and sacrifice people and do schemes and black magic and lie and deceive and work up thousands of lies they can't even keep track of, that are not healed, that have not done any of their healing, that don't know anything about Christ consciousness, they don't know anything about consciousness whatsoever. Those lower vibrational people will never be able to hold a high vibrational consciousness. They would not be, not even an ounce, not even an increment, not even a nano ounce, be able to hold my destiny. There's no match. And that's why life will be proof. I don't need to do or say anything. These people will be shown for who they are. And all that is corrupt, there is divine perfection. Why? Because it allows you to see, wow, for that moment that I was told by Jesus, let's see the perfection in this. And wow, I actually survived what most couldn't. And I get to talk about stories they're not comfortable to hear and they're not comfortable to actually think about, but it is what occurs to children every day. Their light and their soul and their spirits are harvested every day by systems that aren't working, by leaders that aren't working, by energies and people that are so misguided about energy. And there's a lot of occult abuse. And so at what point are we going to wake up and grow up? Because it's all 100% unnecessary. All of it is unnecessary. It's all healable. It's all unnecessary. Every corrupt leader has 100% potential to heal and be a great leader. And they've been given years and years and years of notice. I haven't received one letter of apology. I haven't received one letter of intention to clear karma to return anything that was done to me. And as I said to Spirit the other night, when Spirit asked me if I wanted to go back to those timelines, because certain energies will be taken out and I will no longer be attacked. And I said no. There was infinite opportunities that were given for them to learn and advance off of my wisdoms and my light. And it was abused to overkill degrees. The spiritual laws were abused to overkill degrees. There was not 1 ounce of respect on any level by anybody. So why would I go back? Let them sort out their reality. I want to get on with higher efficiency people that absolutely want to be healed and want to get involved with healing and want to get involved with a higher vibrational earth. Find another light worker that will take that place. And that's the arrangement. Source will be finding other light workers to work in those arenas. They will never have access to me ever again. Not in any timeline, not in any universe. Everybody is forgiven. I forgave you years ago. I'm bringing forward the truth stories because the court cases are still going on. The court cases are still being affected by those that do black magic and voodoo. And these are truths. I would never operate in such low vibrational ways. I'm the healer of it. And these people have done nothing but abuse and lie and defame and falsify claims. And there's been people in the systems that have allowed it and signed for it and being okay with it, taking money for it. So then I say again, do the forensic audit and get the receipts. Because there's a whole lot of lies. They can't even keep track of them anymore. And it will be shown and proven. I don't need to do anything. And so I've come forward to say, we're not going to meet up. Anybody that chooses to return the monies that are mine, mail that is mine, property that is mine, all things in my name that were rightfully mine spiritually, financially, everybody knows what they have done. Everybody knows what they are holding. Everybody knows for the decades that I've been abused. Everybody knows who I am. You don't have a right to hold on to anything that is mine, and God will keep bringing you karma every day until you return it to me. It's rightfully mine. That includes money and property and mail and anything that you use to do conjuring and devil work. I will not accept gifts. I will not accept tokens. Everything has to go through my lawyer. It has to be in paper, certified check, EFT form to my lawyer. I'm not going to meet with anybody. I'm not going to see anybody. I'm not going to have meetings with anybody. I'm not going to talk on the phone with anybody. I won't respond to any emails from anybody. It has to go through my lawyer. It's had to get this way because everybody's manipulated, deceived, lied and abused and used overkill. So you've just put yourself in your own corner. You have no access ever. And if you choose not to return the things that are mine that were meant to be mine, my ancestors and the legions and the heavens have been given full authority to do absolutely all that needs to be done to return rightfully what is of mine. Therefore, thus, then, the creative collective, however I see fit. Why? Because I create new systems and God's given me that authority. Do you not think God knows what God's doing? And while you're sitting trying to scheme, oh, Calgary corruption and oh, leadership corruption, oh, worldly corruption and government corruption. While you're trying to scheme and plot and scheme and scam to see how you can detach yourself from the mess that you've made and not be accountable for the mess that you've made and not be responsible for the mess that you've made and not return anything to me and just walk away silently, while you're thinking of new ways where you cannot take any accountability whatsoever, I'm thinking about every moment that I can get out and I can heal the people that absolutely need it. Why? Because I'm 24/7 healer. I'm from the heavens and I always have been. I don't give a fuck if people get me or want to get me or understand me or get my light or not get my light. I don't give a fuck. I'm beyond that. Ostracize all you want. It's your own wounds. I'm here to help humanity and I'm here to create new systems. And while you keep delaying things and while you keep delaying court cases and doing magic over this and magic over that, you're going to clear your karma when you come forward with truth. You're going to clear your karma when you call the authorities and write out in a statement everybody that was involved, names and everything, and you clear your karma by doing what is right. And doing what is right is saying she didn't deserve the abuse that we gave her. We were filled with magic. We were this and we were that. We take responsibility and we are sorry. How can we repay it? Not by trying to get into more lies and more schemes and more scams to make sure that you're not held accountable while I sat in devastation for 15 years or more. Because Lord knows all my childhood there was nothing but curses and hexes and abuses and people stealing from me. You had no right. I should have had my wealth and my abundance ages ago. And I sat in nothing and cried every fucking day. And I said to Spirit the other day, I said, Spirit, I choose to see my perfection and I am your light eternally. I don't want to cry anymore. I don't want to wake up sad anymore. I don't want to go to bed wondering why all this damage was done to me. I know I'm filled with light. I know I'm very special. I know that I can heal people. I know that I have great wisdoms, and when I talk about God, I just can't stop talking about God. And I know that I turn things on in people, that light of God, that spark of God, and it never shuts off, and they keep wanting that spark of God. They keep wanting the God manna because it's truth and it's real. And they feel things and they see things and they become things they've never thought they could be. I know I have a gift and I know I'm special. I have my unicorn back and I did it all by myself. I did it all on my own. And I thank God for the 1 or 2 clients that donate to me because I get a meal and I get to put gas in my car. While everybody else figures out how they can get out of their lies. And all anybody had to do was do the right thing and book an appointment and talk with me. Ask me how it feels to be a hybrid. Ask me how it feels to be vibrationally raped every day. Ask me how it feels to be a profound healer and have nobody support you or understand you or get you, but you just keep giving it out anyways. I am this diverse perfection because there's so many on the planet that don't have a voice, and I'm here to be that voice. And it's just a template, and I'm just opening the gate for all those that are just like me. They're from other planets, they're from other realms, and they have such profound DNA, and they're here to make and shake things up, just like I was. There will be no more corruption. We will pull the black web, and we will pull all that is corruption and trafficking. Why? Because life is sacred, and I'm going to be a child again. And I'm not going to be raped. I'm not going to be sold, and I won't be trafficked. Because I did my healing and I did my lineage clearing, and none of my lineage will ever, ever be put through what I was put through. And that's God's guarantee for me. All anybody had to do was do the right thing. And they're still sorting it out, so there is perfection. But I stand up and I speak for myself and my life experience. There's been nobody with me. I've signed nothing. I've given no permissions. I've received not one penny. These people have done nothing but abuse, use, and steal from me. And call my work theirs, hide my work, hide my channel, manipulate my channel, and they've done everything to sabotage my life, to make me feel as low as I could feel. But I get up every day and I say, Spirit, I'm going to cry and I'm going to transmute this energy. And I'm telling you every day I deserve better. Because I didn't deserve an ounce of what happened to me, and neither do these children. So understand energy. Understand the universal laws. Understand when you share your life force, you're sharing everything and all things. So then ask yourself, is being a polygamist really worth it? Your energy body will tell you absolutely not. Grow up and get healed. Any divine feminine that is healed would not be with a polygamist. She's not going to share her unique womb. She's not going to share her unique energy with somebody that doesn't care for their life force and shares it with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Energy is energy. Do the mechanics, do the drawing, do the math. I understand how much it takes to heal from one very toxic person that brought in gangs and groups and cults of people and brought in 50 people to make sure that I wouldn't get up. I know how it feels to heal from one toxic person that brought in groups and gangs of toxic people and groups and gangs. I know what it takes to heal. Those are the basics and the mechanics of energy. So be very clear about who you're sharing and why you're sharing, and absolutely the karma you walk in on, because every soul on this planet has to clear 51% or they're not getting through the gates. They just won't. And anybody that tells you otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know anything about self-actualization. They don't know anything about energy. They're misguided and they're wrong. Every person has to clear 51% of their karma from 3 to 5D to ascend into a higher light body, where the next incarnation that you have, you're offering your children, you're offering your lineage, a light body within the systems of light and all planets that exist within light creation. And if not, then it's going to go to a darker experience, and that's very well as perfect as well. But you will not come into a higher vibrational light body. You simply won't. Why? Because you earn your consciousness. You cannot earn your consciousness if all you're doing is sabotaging an innocent person. Everyone is forgiven. My heart is forgiven. My heart is light. These stories are hard to tell. And they still bring up emotion, and they still bring up PTSD, because that's healing. You don't get over abuse and trauma that was such overkill by those that said they cared, by those that said they're community officials, by those that said they were people of the people and people leaders. False spiritualists all the way around. And you don't get over that abuse just overnight. It's multidimensional. I know how to heal it, and I speak truth. All anybody had to do was book a session. You come with your antics, and you come with your tactics, and you come with your little schemes and scams and games, and you will be blocked, always. I know what was stolen. I know what was done to me. I know who I am, and so do you. So if you want to clear your karma, you need to do what is right. Otherwise, you will be shifted and you will be moved. And God will bless me either way, some other way, some other perfection that God will come up with. Why? Because that's God. So I don't need your apology. I don't need your confessions. That's for you. Again, it's your own self-gain. If you truly cared about what it took to heal me, if you truly cared about the damage you did and wanting to make it right, you would have returned the money 2 years ago, and you would have stopped doing your spell work 2 years ago. But you were so intent on dominating me and controlling me and having me a part of your cult and your demonic force. No. I'm God's breath. You will never have me, ever. You work from domination and ownership. I don't. You work from control and competition. I don't. You're in a different game. There will never be alignment, and that's why we will not meet up, and that's why I will never, ever, ever return your emails. I will never return your phone calls. I will block them. There is no access. No access means no access. Everybody from Calgary, it is no access. You do not deserve access to me, you have been told. And if you try, any of you, I will put restraining orders on. And every car that comes up to me and every car that drives up next to me and pulls out their dick and jacks off because they want to intimidate me and they want to make me think that I'm under their control and they're doing this and this and this and corrupt men can do anything. No, they can't. I'm going to take your picture and I've got you in a stalking log and I will present it in court. I've got your license plate numbers. I've got the days. I've got the times. And your dick will be seen all over the internet as news of the head news. So you think that's funny to plan and scheme that and stalk that? Well, just as you were putting my name in the underground, just as you were sharing my name, just as you were sharing my energy, just as you were sharing my pictures and my images and all your underground satanic cult wars in the underground, trying to see who can make more money off of sacrificing me, just as you did so off of my name and energy, God will make sure that each one of your energies and your names will be known for all your deeds. Do you not think God knows what God's doing? And all the ways that you've abused my name and energy that you had no right to, you had no invitation to, you had not an ounce or a fleck. None of you have an ounce or a fleck. I am friends with nobody in Calgary. There is a lot of karma that is due, and that Calgary has to stand up and has to say, we don't want karma for our city. We're going to stand up. We're going to transmute this. We're going to do what's right. That's what true leadership should do. Because there's a lot of people that are just saying corruption's okay and it's not. And I'm speaking up for it. I'll call everybody out, God says. You put it before me, God says, here you go, Joanna, this is what I'm showing you. If God shows me to see something, I will see it and I will say it. Why? Because it needs to. How many people have you hurt and harmed and even killed before me? How much money are you partying off as it's not yours? When it could be going to heal people. What is that saying? The last shall be first and the first shall be last. Here is the channel this is the number 2 channel for the Crystalline Board of Angelics. I just gave you a little synopsis there of my conversation with Jesus about me surrendering to that fact. I'm learning and I'm practicing every day to have more self-celebration about all the things that I have done and come through because I want to claim that godliness. Because I am directing more energy now on a planetary level. And so I'm learning to use I'm working with this Commander Ashtar, Mother, Father, God, and the angels. I'm earning my wings, how to manage energy at a planetary level. So I'm very, very happy about that. And I'm working with beautiful beautiful soulmates from the Pleiades, and those are my soulmates that are working with me for New Earth. And so my energies and my vibrations have been very celestial and very galactic lately. And the Board of Angels, the Board of Angelics are working with me right now. And I forgive everybody from the past. I do have a soulmate that is coming in, and that soulmate is Pleiadian, and they will not be touched. We are protected. We're not going to be touched by anybody's magic or people trying to attack us. I have my right to be loved. I have my right to be in a beautiful, loving relationship that cares about me and would never do spell work on me and would never steal or take or rape me. And so those relationships are being protected by the highest of the heavens. And we are surrounded by angels, and nobody is going to touch us, and nobody's going to touch our kosh. Nobody's going to touch anything about us, because we've all known how the snakes have moved. And they've taught us how to be more wise and staying 100 steps ahead. So there's always perfection in that. When people act as abusive and corrupt as they do, it just allows you to reclaim your sovereignty at a higher vibrational level. And so I've passed all my initiations, so I'm very, very happy. So part of my practice right now, and I'm teaching all of you, is call in your self-appreciation and your self-perfection. See as much perfection as you can. Even more, I know it's practice, we have to entrain ourselves, is the things that you've seen you didn't do so perfect. We're so quick to say, oh, I could have done that better, oh, I should have done that, or you should have, would have, could have. But we want you to train it higher vibrational, to say, wow, I was really great in that. Look what I did. I spoke my truth today. I spoke my truth, and I was forgiving too. You know, find all of those things where you said, wow, I did things that no other person has ever done on this planet. Let's start working out my own evolutionary blueprint and really be self-exploratory, because you're going to claim that godliness to work as a higher profound energy manifester. That's what God wants to see you level up now, right? So I'm showing you these level up techniques. And so here is the channel, and it's called, as we've been talking about, the Wonderment of Perfection. This is Crystalline Board of Angelics, Liturgy of Light number 002. And it's called God's Perfection. When you seek the perfection within you, see it within all things of all creation. There is the celebration of diversity. Every level of life and every species and subspecies, there are variances and the pristine perfection of all that is breath, creating life. Source creates life through breath. Source says, wow, that looks fun and diverse. Let's breath this, let's breath that. Source is the breath of all song, and all those songs are diverse in all things. The mother and the father breath all that is life, and it is always pristine in its perfection. It is highly diverse. There is no diagram of fitting into or alignment or forcing or making. The elegance of creation's diversity from the aspects of no space is all harmonies and vibrations and all unique codes that are and make up the omni, present, and the substrates within every dimension and every fabric of dimension. All that is the enhancement, remember, the omnipresent and the substrates are all that is the natural flow. Remember the natural innate order? If we just allow God to be God, and we just allow ourselves to just move innately, the 3 A's and the 3 E's, we're allowing for the natural innate enhancement, upliftment, and complement and support of all life. That's God. Source will always give you those things. That is what is meant by eternal life. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what you're perceiving. There is always perfection. Why? Because God always offers the enhancement, upliftment, complement, and support of all life. And that life in all of its perfection is equally diverse. It has to be. We have to see the diversity in all of our experiences, just as I explained the very harsh, diverse experience of those that abuse energy and those that abuse the occult and those that abuse voodoo. They abuse it because they want their narrative. They want their outcome. So they're not working with any of their wounding. They're not working with any level of consciousness of themselves as being God. They're giving power away. They're forcing and manipulating outcomes and interfering with other people's destinies so that they can get their outcome. So they're still going to have to learn a whole bunch of soul lessons. They don't have a lot of soul consciousness or DNA allocation in a Christ consciousness experience where all things are perfect and all things are one. And just allowing that natural source evolution to occur, the omnipresence and the substrates are always offering us the absolute upliftment and enhancement. So that's why we talk about in every one of our videos, really work with the substrates right now, because you can get a lot of healing. You can get a lot of activations. You can get a lot of joy and presence and manifestation just working with the substrates, because it's such a higher refined light. And so that's just perfection in all of its diversity. We're meant to be diverse. We're not meant to fit anybody's boxes, whether it's dogmatic, political, social, educational, lineage, familial, religious, occultish. It doesn't matter what box we want to define it and put the clothes on and go into that department store. We don't have to fit in any level of conformity and be a rebel to break out of it. That's the lesson of the diversity of perfection. That is the wonderment of God's perfection. In all of creation, change is. So that's another evolutionary law. Evolutionary law, change will always be. The substrates are changing every moment. Your body is changing because the environment, the substrates, the omnipresent is changing. Therefore, your body has to adjust to it. Your body has to adapt. That's why people are going through so many ascension symptoms right now, because the substrates, the omnipresence is a lot higher and richer and more refined. So your body is changing. Your biophysicality is changing. Your DNA is changing. So as I said it before, work with the omnipresence is going to work with you, right? God's going to meet you equally. In all of creation, change is. That's a universal law. You are eternal, you are infinite, and you are light. And it will always be change. Otherwise, that's how God's desire is for all of us, to evolve and change and be playful in change. The very foundation, so this is important, and this will take you on a consciousness ride, so you can write this down if you like. In all of creation, the universal law is change is. It is always eternal, it is always light, and there will always be change within light. The very foundation of diversity is change itself. As I perceive, so it is. As I am godly, as I am embodying God, so too it is. As I am the diversity and perfection of God, so too it is. The very foundation of diversity is change. The children offer it to us. This is what I wanted to say that's so profound, as Jesus was telling me this morning. Joanna, can we see the perfection of your just soaking in the knowing? I want you to soak within the knowing you are God's perfection. And then it hit me. I just stopped and I took a deep breath, and it hit me right deep in my belly. And there was like, wow, I'm starting to feel all of these things that I was never taught, told, or shown, because I am a leader. I am a mentor for all those that are also hybrid. Nobody taught me about being hybrid. Nobody taught me about what it was to use my gifts or my skills. Nobody taught me about the multidimensional fields. I just thought people saw what I saw, right? Because you don't know that people don't see what you see until you start talking about it. And then when you start talking about it, they're ostracizing you and thinking you're crazy. No, I'm not. I just speak with spirit. I've got a higher access to spirit. I have a higher interfacing with spirit. I can see things and know things and hear things that other people don't. I've been hearing the last couple of mornings I've been waking up, my insectoid family is talking to me, and they talk to me in insectoid downloads. They're downloading information to me from insectoid sounds. And it's like a very scratchy, if you've ever seen the movie Contact with Jodie Foster, there is a part in the movie where there's sounds and stuff. That's what it sounds like. That's what insectoid downloads sound like. It's a very scratchy, squeaky sound, and they're like insects. You can hear insects inside your ear, right? That's what it sounds like. But it's very, it's like amplified, right? Because I'm so sensitive. I'm an audible downloader. I download everything. I can hear conversations of people across the world. So when I choose to just tune in, and I have to say, okay, can you close that off, shut that off? I don't need to hear that, right? Like I only want to hear from certain beings or certain people. Then I allow those openings to occur. But those are my gifts expanding as well. So that's what Jesus was showing me this morning. But it hit me in my pit of my stomach, because it was my acceptance. It was and this is what diversity and perfection are held and put an equal sign in acceptance. I was accepting myself as the diversity of being hybrid. And that was an epiphany. Jesus brought me to that epiphany. It was like, wow, I can call myself hybrid, and I'm actually owning it. I'm accepting it now. I have so many gifts as being a hybrid. There's so many people on this planet that are hybrid. I know hybridization at a deeper level, because it's part of the systems of light that I'm working with, and help teach people how to work with their gifts and skills, how to work with their DNA, how to work as being their own healer, how to work through disease and all of those things that hybrids can do. We can hear things, we can see things, we can manipulate, and we can do things in ways that is fun with energy. You're meant to use energy and manipulate it, yes, but you're meant to do it in a playful way that honors you and benevolence you and not affects other people. Right? You're meant to play with your gifts and skills only on yourself, right? You're not meant to interfere and manipulate on other people's lives, because then again, you're abusing the laws, and you're going to have those gifts taken off and turned off. But that gift that he gave me this morning was saying, I'm perfect in being hybrid. Whereas my life, I was discriminating myself, because it's like, why are people judging me for me just being me? I'm not anybody else. I'm me. I've worked really hard at being me, just to allow myself to love myself and to heal the traumas, to heal the abuses, to heal the molestation, to heal all those things that were not me. People used me for my light. They harvested off of me, and there was great damage done to me that I had to learn and navigate my way around and relearn to love myself and be new again. That's a lot of work, and some people can't face that. But in being hybrid, I was able to see things in a very intricate way. What happens on one abuse, I can see the multidimensional patterns of how to heal that abuse. That's part of my gifts. On the other side of it too, it's overwhelming, especially when there's so much abuse. To be high functioning and to carry that much capacity to see energy and to feel energy, I feel it on a multidimensional landscape. And it's, again, it's like times 10. A group of people doing energy work on me it's damaging. So there's extra protection now. But for me to be hybrid, I was able to feel things at a level, and I was like, okay, and you have to go through that healing to say, okay, well, I've healed it and I'm still pretty amazing. I can help people. So many hybrids on our planet. I'm here to advance humanity. Advancing humanity means we're introducing the diversity of change through God's breath, through God's plan, the divine God's plan. There is diversity in all things, so why would we have ever discriminated against ourselves and any other? There was a level, because people were discriminating against me, that I had supposed because of how I was ostracized when I was being me. It was like, what the hell? Who are you talking to? Oh, I'm talking to like a legion of beings that are talking with me right now. We're talking about plants and botany. Can't you hear them? I'm talking to my friend that is an insectoid from Pleiades. I'm talking to the birds, the bird people. I talk to birds, I talk to nature. That's not normal for you because you're low vibrational conscious. It's normal for me. So why is mine normal for me? Why is it discriminated? But you get to be corrupt and you get to be crass and you get to be abusive. Why is that? Why is that okay? So your lower vibrational consciousness, your sabotaging consciousness, your warped and demonic consciousness is okay, but my light consciousness isn't, where I bring people together and I bring healing. So that's discrimination. Why do you have rights but I don't? Why can divine masculine do whatever they want to do and have double standards all over the place, but divine feminine can't even ask for what's hers? And she's got to go through 10 years of court and legal proceedings to get even a penny, and even then they fight for it because they don't think that she's entitled to it. They try and make her out like she's crazy. No, I'm just on a consciousness level where you can't even get to because you're just so corrupt and you're in your darkness. So until you break out of that and see all things as perfect, you're raising your consciousness to say, let them be where they are. God's going to distribute karma, and just keep moving. But that was a moment of epiphany that I had with Jesus, because I accepted my hybridization. I accepted all that I was a celestial. I accepted all of those moments as a child where it was not comfortable and it was abusive. And those that never reached out to me, that said they supposedly cared. Not one. Nobody should be in your tribe if they never check on you when you got quiet. And they're absolutely not your tribe if they're the ones that are doing the suffering, and they're the ones that are doing the sabotaging, and they're the ones that are doing the targeting and stealing and taking and raping and abusing and falsifying and defamation. Again, get the hell away fast, because they're not your tribe. They're stealing from you and they're harvesting from you, and they don't care an ounce about you. And God will show you with all the red flags. And that is the corruption on this planet. There are harvesters of souls. And they're the ones that have not had a lot of lifetimes of being Christ consciousness. They've been absolutely disconnected from God's source creator. I teach you the connection of God's source creator in all life. And it's all perfect. And to never stand for abuse, and never reduce, and never suppress, and never bow to lesser. Never ever stand down to demonic, corrupt energies. Because you are far greater than that. And you can go back home, and you can go back to where the abuses began, and you can say, those abuses were never bigger than you, and those devils are not bigger than you. You are godly now, and you can manage the energies. Because intelligence is light, and intelligence allows you to navigate through and around everything. That's light. That is the divine relationship. Darkness is not that. Darkness is sitting in the fears and the woundings of control and domination and survival. And that's where they will sit until they heal. until they choose to reclaim their power from Lucifer and Satan and all of those deities that they gave such energy to. But guess who that is as well? Source. So when Source wants to change the game, what does Source do? Source will go into the body and go into the deities and go into the conjuring of anything and any being and say that enough is enough, let's return it. Do you not think that God is any part and all parts of the game? Do you not think that God is the dice and the board as well? Do you not think that God is the breath before breath was even breath? God manifests a galaxy just out of a notion of a second and a millisecond. What do you think? What do you think, 3D? Corrupt little crime ring? Do you not think that God is all people in that courtroom and that jury? Do you not think that the mother and the father of their higher selves are very present in every jury member? Do you not think that Mother, Father, God is not in and on every piece of paper in that courtroom? Do you not think that Mother, Father, God can create a miracle and a piece of paper showing up just when it needs to, in the hands of who it needs to show up to? Do you not think that Mother, Father, God are every aspect of life on this planet and all planets and all lives and know everything that's going on in and between? And when Mother, Father say, God, my daughter will not be touched, my daughter will not be touched. And the game pieces will be moved, and the board will be moved and colored anew. And there will be no dice, it will be something new, because God says. At what point will you wake up, dear lighted ones? There is an elegance to all creation. It is divine, and it is God. Mother and Father, in each and every one of us, if you so choose to be healed and balanced in it so, and it is perfect. As I have come forward 700 videos and offered unconditionally and freely. So if you would like to give a donation, then please, I accept it. Ascension sessions, I accept it. In all of creation, change is. The very foundation of diversity is change. The Creator knows every level and sub-level, the intricate weavings of all dimensions and all bandwidths of all dimensions. For life is within life and every dimension within all life. The infinite species, even in your own biosphere, complement, support, nurture life within it. There is an elegant design, and it is magnificent, and it's mysterious. That's God. Don't you think God knows what God's doing? If something is needed, God will alert that person or that energy or that entity that says, go bring your energy there, it's needed in that part. That's why God is always connected with all aspects of life. If God says, this is where I wanted to get back to Jesus, the story of Jesus. So Jesus was showing me, okay, Joanna, let's breathe in your perfection of being hybrid. And I said, okay. The story of this game says that I was discriminated against and I wasn't needed on this planet, just as Jesus was discriminated, and Jesus wasn't needed by those in power at the time that discriminated against him. And so Jesus said to me, but Joanna, if you're God's perfection, and you are, would it not mean that this planet and these collectives and these people absolutely need whatever it is you're offering? That is the hybridized experience. You're showing them in the reflection of you being hybrid of the heavens of many realms of many planets in divine feminine form of speaking of the highest wisdoms. Isn't that exactly what the planet needs in equal return? Is not God answering through you? And I said, okay, well, you got me. Thank you for the lesson, Master Jesus. But we are not entrained that way. We're not entrained to see the perfection. We're entrained to see ourselves, okay, well, they rejected me, so I guess I must be rejecting myself at some point. Well, yes and no, but you can see, okay, now I'm showing myself perfection now because God is answering through me what the collective is answering for, is asking for. So, of course, there's perfection. God shows through each and every one of us, as diverse as each and every one of us are, I am a diverse being to the collective. The collective is now seeing that this is a perfect experience of how God can be diverse. So can we accept diversity? Can we accept God being in a divine feminine that is also a hybrid, as Jesus was? And what are our beliefs? What are our judgments? What are our discriminations? But Jesus said to me, that's the game that you are looking at it from that perspective. But in a divine perfection experience, can you not see that God was merely answering through you what the collective already needs and asking for? And I said, well, yes, I teach that, of course. Thank you for reminding me, master to master. Thank you, Holy Jesus. And the master awakens. So that is divine perfection. Again, as we said in the infinity, if the collective is asking, you are the answer to that asking. And God will absolutely show it, just as through the court cases. All of the, as Jesus said to me many years ago when I was asking Jesus, I said, well, how can I even win legally against all these people that took my resources, stole my resources, and they're 50 plus in all of these official roles? And Jesus said, Joanna, they can show up in the best and fanciest suits with all their money. You're walking with the heavens. They don't stand a chance. But that's the plan. That's the perfection. God knows what God's doing. Just go with it. I said, okay. But you have to get to that knowing. Okay, God, let's do this. There's legions by the billions that are working on my behalf. Why? Because it's enough abuse. I'm one example that survived, and me surviving was enough to say, you know what? If one divine being was not supposed to survive any of this, that's the overabuse is overkill. There's no way on any level of a normal reality that this is okay. It's not okay. This goes against every plan of the divine, and God's got an answer for it all. Again, it changes. Diversity is. We're not going to see the end of ascension. We're going to keep getting more diverse. We're going to keep gaining in light, and we're going to keep growing in our light. And we're going to keep changing. And I'm coming forward as a hybridized template to say, I'm the answering of the collective asking. I have answers for the collective. Why am I suppressed? Why is my platform at 0 for 7 years? Why has my platform gone through 0 growth? Why have my clients dried up? Where is all the subscriptions, and why are my videos being obviously blatantly managed? I show the screenshots. So there's so much corruption, and everybody has to see it. But God has a plan, right? So then anyways, I just showed you that very fun part about me and Jesus going back and forth. The infinite species, even within your own biosphere, always will complement, support, and nurture all life within it. There is an unending and an enduring natural flow and a loving conversation that is in all symbiotic life. Remember, it's only humans that get involved, try to force and control and force the narrative and force the outcome. That's magic and conjuring. And again, following and doing the opposite of universal laws. But in just allowance, there is always the complementing and enhancing of all life. There is the supporting of all life, and that is what we have said is always change. There is great diversity in change, and in diversity there is always perfection, because that diversity is answering something. If you take nothing away from this today, take that. God's perfection always answers the asking. You're it. That's profound. That's an epiphany. Go away with that statement and just sit with it. And unpack that with your guides. Unpack that with your higher self. The birds are the answering to Gaia, to keep the song going, to keep the harmonics going. The insects are the answer to our higher vibrational knowing of who we are. I would not be the teacher, the healer, and the reader, and the intuitive that I am without my insectoid teams, always working with me. I had this beautiful healing experience with my insectoid teams. I wanted to share with you, those of you that love the insectoids, that work with the insectoids. There was this healing that they did with me one time, and I asked my teams for a healing. I said, I really love my insectoid family. Can you please bring in my insectoid family? I really want to heal with my insectoid. I just get a different energy with them because they are my perfection of my intuitiveness. I can pinpoint any energy with my insectoid. That's where I go to. They're my go-to people. They're my go-to beings. They're my go-to diversity energy thread, where I can read what I need to read, where I can heal what I need to heal. I can move whatever I need to move in that really finite place of energy. I really rely on that gift of mine. And the insectoids are always working with me to fine-tune my gifts. They are the masters of energy intuitiveness. And so the insectoids came to me one night, and I was laying down, and I felt this beautiful being that's always with me. It's a mother insectoid, and she kind of looks like an ant, and she kind of looks like this big, huge insect. She's about 8 feet tall. She's huge. And she just lovingly put me in this cocoon, and she wrapped me in her beautiful little, delicate little legs. You know, they're very pointy and very delicate. You know, and she was just wrapping me in my consciousness body. My physical body was just laying there absolutely still. I did not move, because I surrender when I'm in those healing experiences. I surrender to my higher teams, and my consciousness body, my ether body, my spiritual body, my causal body, everything about me and energy goes to the teams that are working with me. And it's just my physical body that sits there, because it's always in energy first, and then it's physical. And so she wrapped me, and she made this beautiful cocoon within like a second. She wrapped me and my body. She was spinning my body very gently and very slowly in this cocoon. It was like this very beautiful silken cocoon. And she wrapped me. And then she just put me back in my place where I was sitting. And I just felt myself in this cocoon. There was no fear whatsoever. It was very beautiful. It was very relaxing. I felt like I was back in the mother's womb. There was so many healing experiences. So you can visualize this with your insectoid teams as well. It's healing on so many different levels. How I felt was that every sensorial part of me, physically, mentally, even fields that we don't have words for what I can feel sometimes. Because I'm a hybrid, because I'm a multidimensional, I have so many aspects of my DNA that are awake. I'm very highly activated in my DNA allocation. Those insectoids know what I need. So she wrapped me in this beautiful silk cocoon, and it fed all of the bodies that needed to be fed. It fed all the little places and the little crevices and the cells that needed to be fed for me. And she just knew, just like that. And she took me and she wrapped me in this beautiful, warm, beautiful silken cocoon, and it healed. And the next morning I woke up and I thought, oh my gosh, whatever happened, whatever you did last night, like, thank you, thank you, thank you. But the beings that you're with in different species and different diversity, they know because they're that species, right? We don't understand that when insects wrap their babies in cocoons, that they're actually healing them and they're taking them to a whole nother level. They're taking them to a whole new experience of beingness. And so this is what this beautiful insectoid, she's always with me. She's just gorgeous. And my insectoid teams are always with me in the healing process. I don't ever usually have a healing without them. They're so beautiful. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I love you. And that's a healing for the insectoids that you can do with your multidimensional bodies when you have been spiritually attacked, spiritual warfare, dark magic and conjuring, different entities trying to attack. It's just overwhelming, right? Especially if you're high functioning. I can take on so much information, but I don't have to. And that's where Spirit said, you can go back to that timeline and you can start off new. Everything will be cleaned. Everything will be cleared up and everybody start brand new again. I said, no, I think I'm done. And God gave me that right. God said, okay, we understand. And they asked me, they said, Joanna, what do you want? And I said, this is what I want. And they said, okay, we're on it. I mean, free will is the number one law. And then there are the initiations for people at my level. There are initiations where there does have to be an energy exchange of all of those that have abused you. It is just karmic law. And I've had many conversations with my guides and with the higher teams. Mother, Father, it is only by Mother, Father, God, when Mother, Father, God say it is enough, or the energy exchange has been done, or there has been an agreement only between you and God. There has to be an energy exchange as for somebody that has damaged and caused you harm. There has to be an energy exchange to close off the timeline. And so then it's up to only the higher selves. This is why you have to work with your higher selves and your teams. Your higher selves and God and the karma board decide what unfolds, and then you just surrender it to your teams and just trust whatever unfolds is meant to be. Because you can't interfere in those karmic experiences. It's a very important thing when a karmic timeline gets closed off. So you have to work with your higher self, surrender to your higher self. What is my part in this transaction? And your teams will say, there has to be an energetic exchange. This is karmic law. And I said, okay, I don't have oversight on that. I say how I would like that to occur. I do have that say. But when these types of lineage stories and these lineage wars have been going on since the beginning of time, and nobody even understands why they're doing what they're doing, and they're so misguided in doing what they're doing because they're wounded. They're so wounded. They're only acting and behaving on eons of lineage karma and lineage wars from other timelines and other planets. They don't get it on this realm because they're not awake. They're not consciously aware. They just know they've got a lot of hate now because they're playing out number of lineage because they're not doing their healing. They're not doing the healing of the Draconian War. They're not doing the healing of the Orion Wars. They're not doing their healing of Lemuria. They're not doing any of that healing. They just have a lot of hate. They're living from survival mode. So why, again, my channel is so important. And all of this was unnecessary. None of this had to happen. If people would have just done their healing, but that's part of their perfection as well, right? Diversity is the evolving song of the Creator. The Creator is in all places, all spaces, and within each and all of us, knowing, and of all that knowing is all the offerings that are ever required or ever needed, all that God is. Again, if God knows that somebody needs something, or a piece of life needs something, or the oceans need something, God will send the right people. God knows what God's doing. All aspects of life, all planets, all created. This is where it's just so mind-boggling. This is why I love talking Source Creator God, because it's beyond what we know. And if you understand God with even an ounce of just exploring the infinite of godliness, anything that is needed within the collective, there's going to be a being that it will be activated and inspired through it. This is why you are the answer to the collective's asking. God is perfect in God's design. Anything that is ready to be transmuted and then back into the soup of the creator. So again, even if it's a lower vibration, it still goes back into the creator because that's also a perfect knowing. It's also a soul integration of the source creator. Everything goes back to source. Everything goes back to God, even if you believe in God or not. Everything goes back to the soup of God. And then based on the karma, based on what was done, based on the heatings, based on the karma, based on the clearing and the return to your, when you clear your karma, you're returning back to your own soul. That's why karma is so important. You've given your power away to entities and demons and Lucifer and all these people, which are still God. They're just playing out the darker roles. You've given your power away. You've given your power away to cults and secret societies, and you've abused and all this. So now it's up to you to start reclaiming that power back. It's up to you to start reclaiming those energies back. And you do it by loving yourself and by forgiving and doing the inner transmutation, doing the inner alchemy, which is what I teach on my channel. And I'm not going to do it for free. Those people that are truly serious about healing, you have to pay for sessions. You actually have to pay for the healing. The perfection of your own uniqueness. So this is what Jesus showed me. It is the perfection of your own uniqueness and your shared, remember the 3 E's? Your shared uniqueness is within the diversity. Remember, I'm a unique, diverse aspect that was needed for the collective. The collective was ready for that answering. So, in thus then, my unique diversity sharing is of perfection. The creational diversity shifts as a whole. So when I accepted, as when I accepted that, wow, I'm a hybrid, I'm perfect for the collective right now. There's so much that the collective could use and help and really gain from my wisdom. I was seeing the answering. I was seeing myself as a collective answering. I was seeing that, yes, finally, I accept myself. I accept myself, and all of the previous ostracizations, all of the previous abuses and discriminations are not going to be anymore. They're not on that timeline. I'm now in a higher range. Because it was the acceptance of my diversity of being hybrid, the diversity of being an angelic, all of that is now what the collective is needing. Whereas I was seeing it as, okay, well, my work's not growing, this isn't growing, there must be something, but God was saying, no. There's people manipulating it left, right, and center because they're corrupt. They know that you are the answer. They don't want you out there because it affects what they get. They benefit from the human collective not knowing. They benefit from the collective not being diverse. They benefit from the collective being herded here, there, and everywhere for their agendas. They do not want the collective to reclaim their sovereignty. And I'm speaking it. The one affects the all, and the all affects the one. Every aspect of shift that you are within you as a divine, loving electiveness. Remember, you're an elective. You are a supportive elective for all realms, all hybridizations, all celestial children, all planets, all realms. God brought you here in your perfection of diversity. So in that, you are the micro, you are the macro. And as you shift within this acceptance and your forgiveness of your discrimination of yourself, you will learn, as we said before, that perfection is your acceptance. I accept myself as perfect. Yes, I am the answer. Thank you, God. We could have got there sooner. The mastery of light and the angelics of all that is diversity. The creator is this, diversity in all things. Light is the bringing forward of diversity. Creation offers its constants. You are eternal. Source is eternal. You are light. There is always changing in light. You are love. The creator is always deep in love to see the diversity in all things. That's God's blessing. Is see, yes, we're creating something new. Here we go. God's perfection, the story is regardless. Whatever is before you, there is always immense light, color, and potential as you infuse and understand divine relationship. To create the spark of love and light and perfection within all things and all beings. Everything before you, as I said earlier, somebody might be acting out of a very low vibrational negativity, but they might not have the allocation to understand Christ consciousness. So in their level of their ascension's journey, they are responding perfect. They don't have the capacity to respond any differently. So this is where my help and my channel will assist those that are counselors, those that are psychologists and philosophers. There's much work that we can do in advancing who we are as a divine species, because not everybody is the same. Not everybody's in the same point of their journey. Not everybody has the same understanding. Not everybody has the same allocation. Not everybody has the same human experiences, especially if they've been brought up in very staunch, dogmatic doctrine where they have to do things to be accepted. They have to do things to be guided and loved, or they're being given rewards for action. They're not being given rewards just for being who they are. So we're learning things at a very vast and incredible rate, and diversity is everything within this. So remember the 3 E's of all things, that the Creator is eternal within, is an eternal song of diversity and the canvas that is all creation. They showed me too that our canvas of our physical reality, this is profound. So you can just go away and think about this. I don't have enough battery on my phone to go through the rest of this channel, so I'm going to have to do another video perhaps tomorrow and finish off the channel. But what I wanted to say was they showed me in these new substrates, really, really cool. In these new substrates, thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. In these new substrates, we get to change the land, and we get to work with the land and the substrates as energy, right? Because I said I was working at a planetary wave of learning with Commander Ashtar and the Archangel Michael and all of the creators, 12th dimensional creators, 13th dimensional creators, on how I'm working with energy in gathering those for the various efficiency pods, a lower, middle, and higher. And I'm giving, I'm more of a manager player now, if you will, as far as just clearing karma, you know, and healing. Now I'm working with the selective higher realms with the systems of light to start infusing what is needed on each level, so that we can get the light workers up to speed. We can get the teachers and the healers up to speed on every level of where the DNA allocation is based on their level of consciousness. So it's very profound. I'm very, very excited about this. So this is what I was offering earlier in my YouTube post, that I'm going to be offering in September classes that will be much more guided towards the systems of light, new systems. So this is the part that I'm playing now, is more of a director working with the systems of light, Mother, Father, God, for the plan of these consciousness experiences and what is needed within each pod, because they're all perfect. Even if it's the lower first awakening, whatever DNA allocation, whatever it's the middle, whether it's the higher, there's going to be various, you know, disturbances where things are going to come out, and it's going to be perfect in the healing. Even what happened in my experience, there is going to be the highest healing and the highest outcome. I know that. There's always the highest outcome. There will always be justice, because that's the universal law. There has to be justice, there has to be balance. So I just let it go, and I just release it all to God and release it to the ancestors, release it to my teams and my guides. And I just know that I'm just working on this new things, right? So just know that there is always the perfection. There will always be the rebalancing, right? So you're just meant to just surrender and just release and let go, and know that there's always going to be that constant interplay of having life work out for you, because it's always perfect. Life is always perfect. Life is always working out. But anything to do with physical matter, because we are more now substrate with an equal experience with Mother, Father, God, that substrate is allowing us to work more deeply with all that is physical. And so that's really profound, because they were showing me that we have the potential to grow the land and grow with our energy work. We're going to be remembering what we used to do in Lemuria, as we said, the Lemuria awakening. We're going to remember the things that we were doing in energy with the land, of the land. And so all of those experiences are going to become, we get cleaner soils, cleaner waters. All of those are those gifts for us to use and benefit the land and use and benefit the collective. So we have access to enhance the land and support the land and allow the diversity of how we're changing as beings of biophysical, as beings of botany, as beings of divine essence, the hybridization of who we are as God. And we're absolutely, the micro macro is changing. And this is where we're seeing great change very, very quickly. And so I'm really happy to bring that forward. So thank you, Holy Spirit. We just have a couple of alignment messages. So remember, no matter where any one person is at in their ascension path, doesn't matter how we define or judge whatever we see in our reality. Again, it's perspective, and perspective is equal to your consciousness. If you're judging everything as negative and not working out for you, then it will be a consciousness where that's where you need to work on, is saying, okay, it can be perfect. How can I see perfection in this? There will be speedy recovery for those that are releasing toxic timelines and stepping into your own power. Working with the substrates will help you immensely. Again, as I said, because I'm so devoted to my own healing, I'm so devoted to, you know, remembering the love of me and going back into my perfection of me. The substrates are working with me very quickly, so I'm very happy. And it's going to affect how I look. It's going to affect my bones. It's going to affect everything. So I'm very excited to work with those experiences of healing. This message is for Catherine Peterson from Ohio. There is a message coming in from your teams, your star sister. It is time to have fun. Is it not? They're wanting you to have more fun. Every story can be a happy ending if you so choose. It's all about, again, your perspective and your perfection within it. Suppression of your Oh, you being in suppression is a choice. You can relieve yourself of being suppressed, release the weight because there are choices you took on from another contract. Seek rest and rejuvenation. It's time for you to have fun now by surrendering all of the weights and the densities and the burdens that are not yours to carry, the choices that are not yours to carry, the vows that we took in old obligations of karma and dharma and all of the roles we used to take in religious experiences of our doctrine. You can release those to the source creator and do your healing. The more that you love yourself and accept yourself in this, there's new levels of perfection and God will always offer it to you. The star systems of light are always walking with you in every moment of every day. This is their perfection. Remember, we've asked it, so they're answering. So for example, I always ask my teams, can I have more celestial engagement? Right? And so I'll have my, celestial insectoid mother that will come and wrap me up in a beautiful cocoon of healing. And that was an amazing experience. The insectoids are just such beautiful beings. I love the insectoids. They always make me cry, just like the Arcturians. The Arcturians always make me cry. Pleiadians are always very confident. Come on, Joanna, let's go. Pleiadians are like, get out, let's have some fun. And the Syrians are always with me no matter what. Syrians are they're like my shadow. They're always walking with me and they're always a second. There they are. And the insectoids are just profound beings of gifts, working with your gifts, working with the earth, the hum of the earth. You want to get refined and attuned with your gifts. The insectoids are the ones that I work with very closely. They're a huge part of my DNA because it's a part of the huge hybridization DNA to make us a higher advanced collective. So I work with, again, diversity of all species. It's all perfect. And so it's accepting myself. So I'm proud to bring this forward as a part of my own self-proclamation, a part of loving myself. And this show today was donated to the one that donates to me. And so I'm donating this very beautiful episode for you to accept your perfection, to accept who you are as a crystalline child that was brought forward in a very tumultuous time. In the challenges that you've gone through and you've faced every day, and you've taken every knock on the chin and you get up. So you're a divine being of light and you're meant to be here in all of your perfection. And Jesus absolutely, within all things, as Jesus said to me yesterday in this morning, in my remembrance, from where Jesus sits and from where all creation sits, they see the perfection without even a breath of hesitation. They see the timelines that you've survived. They've seen the timelines that you shouldn't have survived. They see the timelines that you chose compassion over ill will, that you chose to cut the cord when you needed to cut the cord, that you chose to stand in your power and say no, that you chose to not be a follower and stand up and make your own way and be a maverick and create the way that was only meant for you because you are a diverse hybrid being and no other way is going to be okay for you. You have to carve your own way. And being that maverick means that you have to let people go. It means that you might not be able to go back to places where you thought that you were accepted. And it means that you're going to be okay in receiving new energies that are loving and benevolent of you. Because remember, if you're asking of it, God will always provide. And so that's the equal opportunity of that perfection. You're worthy. And once you have to get to that worthiness, as Jesus showed me, you have to get to that worthiness of perfection. I am worthy of beautiful tribe that don't do spell work on me. I'm worthy of beautiful tribe that don't steal from me. I'm worthy of beautiful tribe that don't sabotage me and try and take me out every time I'm going out the door of my house. So all of those things are your acceptance, right? Remember, perfection is equal to acceptance. So I've accepted that. So I wanted to share that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful download I had with Jesus. It was a beautiful experience. They're higher vibrational codes. They're higher vibrational downloads of the perfection and the wonderment of God. The Liturgies of Light is from the Crystalline Board of Angelics, only channeled through me. They're all copyright material is through me. If you'd like to book an Ascension session, my PayPal is below. Donations are very greatly appreciated. And I do thank all of the wonderful beings that donate to me from the very day one. You've always been very beautiful rainbows in my life. And I love you. I love you. I love you. My beautiful hybrid crystalline beings and beautiful people, please share our videos. Please get our platform seen and known. The honor and the blessing that I have as the voice of the collective is sharing stories that aren't comfortable, but they have to be shared and expressed for us to face what needs to be faced and bring new energy to it. There is divine perfection at all. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't easy. I would never do it ever again. I've told Mother, Father, God on many occasions, I'm never going to come back to any of what have occurred. I never, ever want another timeline like what I just went through. It was very unique and it was very... profound for the entire collective. And there was a lot of purpose and meaning behind it that only God knows. And again, those of you that have been on the path of self-actualization all know, I've written about this in my books. Oftentimes on the path of awakening, you never ever know why something played out until way after the fact down the road. Because again, it's that dodecahedron, and you're not going to see the full ramifications of the expansiveness you've grown from such incredible, insurmountable odds until you absolutely have to go through it and get up every day and say, there's perfection in this. I don't have what I thought I used to have. I didn't think I was going to be where I thought I was, but those were all ego bound. And those were all definitions and discriminations from a part of me that's not who I am anymore. I'm a profound new version of me. The people that used to know me don't know me anymore. I'm a new version of who I am. I've integrated so much of my soul. I've integrated so much self-love and acceptance. I will not settle. I will not compromise an ounce of who I am now for anything that is demonic, satanic, or trying to scheme me, scam me, and trying to put their karma on my back and my lineage. My lineage has been through enough, and there is a no negotiation. And I know that I'm working so closely with the boards. I'm working so closely with the creators, Mother, Father, God. And I'm so grateful that Mother, Father, God have given me this voice on behalf of many of those that are also unique and diverse. Those that have discriminated against me are also aspects of a diverse creative collective. They've discriminated against themselves because they've been so abused. But they didn't choose to see that inner self discrimination. And even though I come forward in all of my videos and I show the teachings and I show the way and I give the manna, it's up to each person to go within and do that healing of self-discrimination and no sense of self, and then rebuild themselves just as I did. So I am again a mirror for all of those aspects of moving through the minutia of the darkness, and that you can and that you will. So just know that everything is possible. There is perfection in all things. That's God. If there is an asking, there is an answer, and you are it. So know that profundity inside of you. Inside of you, I am God's perfection. And say that with affirmation of all days. No matter where you are at, you are God's perfection. Mother and Father have breathed you in perfection. How could it not be? And in that, dear lighted ones, I love you so very much. We love you, and rainbow hugs and kisses to everybody. I rainbow you. I rainbow everybody on the planet and off the planet. I love all of beings in my celestial realms and all of the work that they're doing, my ancestors and Mother, Father, God. I'm so very grateful. I'm so very blessed. I'm so very grateful for all of my beautiful clients, and I love you so very much. Please share our videos, and we love you, and we will say namaste, and we'll come back to finish off the channel because it was very, very profound. So think about the beautiful wonderment of God's perfection. And we love you.